They've continued to work and grow and implement their program and are setting the foundation for what they want to get accomplished here over the next couple of seasons.
I think one of the most intriguing teams this offseason is the Miami Dolphins.
The Dolphins have the capital to do whatever they want.
They're competing and building a culture.
I believe in team. I would say that. If you want to strive to do something great, as a group, you got to work together.
You have a plan, you stay true to the plan, you execute the plan. The Dolphins, this is how you turn around a franchise, like this.
We're trying to build a team that's going to win right now, and we'll be very aggressive.
Welcome to the field, your Miami Dolphins.
We were looking for guys who are tough, who are smart, who are competitive, love to play.
They have landed some big fish. Love what the Miami Dolphins did. You're trying to build something there.
Patrick throws to the end zone. It is Parker. Darnold never saw the pressure coming, and he's leading. Sickie wide open. Touchdown. Let's have some fun and play together, man. Win on three, win on me. 1, 2, 3, win.
If you can get a group of young men to band together, to believe in one another, to practice and prepare at a high level, then you'll win ball games.
Big man, touchdown, picked off by Bobby McCain.
What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and I'm back here with another one, as always, joined by the Jason Taylor to my Zach Thomas, EMdolphinfan. What's good, homie?
I'm good, bro. What's going on, man? How are you?
We're about to hit him from the side with this because, guys, we're starting off a little different today. Instead of two of us starting off, we got the man whose face, if you remember correctly, you first ever saw here on Phinside the NFL. Say what's good to the homie Havoc.
You know the vibes.
What's good, homie?
That's good.
Vibration.
Yeah, man. You gotta come in strong, man. You know?
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Definitely.
How y'all doing today?
Good, bro. Good.
Good to hear.
Another day, another dollar. Happy, healthy, and blessed. Can't ask for much more, right?
Can't do it.
And we got a fourth to start off. And guys, we are gonna open up the stream. We're just gonna go off over a few news things, and then we'll open it up to everyone in the comments. And the triple OG, the original man to hold us down, the man with the golden wrench, like his name was Thor, the god mod of Miami Dolphins YouTube community. What's good, homie Rhino?
Tua.
Rhino, what's good, homie?
The best, man. I'm doing great. You guys are the best.
Likewise, man. Likewise.
Tua.
Man, we hitting them with the Fantastic Four today, man.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Shoddy on not being the Invisible Woman.
Someone's got to be it. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not going to be Sue Storm.
Damn, knew the name and everything.
I feel like Johnny Flame, and if I look at EM, I see the Thing. So Susan's between you two.
That's stereotyping. That's stereotyping.
I know, right? The Thing, really? Oh, okay.
He said when I look at EM, I see the Thing.
The Thing.
I thought you were homies.
Oh, okay.
Well, bro, I don't see what's his face when I look at him. Sue's
Mr.
husband.
Fantastic?
Yeah, Mr. Fantastic. Come on. I mean, if you think about it, you look like the skinniest one here, so you're on the Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That brings us down to Rhino. If you think about it, we actually can't see his face.
I'm the Thing. I'm the
Thing. All right, boys. What did you guys want to, in terms of which, did you want to start with Chan Gailey, or did you guys want to start off? Actually, you know what? Let's start off with this. Before we get into the actual coaches, let's talk about the roster moves that went down today with the Miami Dolphins, because there were a few. So they brought back Ricardo Lewis and Ray Smith, who they picked up if people remember, in late July. He retired. And then they also activated Raekwon Davis, Benito Jones, Solomon Kinley, and Kirk Merritt, noticeably Devon Godcha. Godcha was brought off yesterday, right? Correct?
Yeah.
So everyone, so basically, we're starting to look good here again. But when you look at Ricardo Lewis, guys, we were talking a little bit before we went live. To me, I'm gonna go through you guys one by one. We'll start off with the M. We'll work our way down. When I look at Ricardo Lewis, it's nothing more than a body. This is a guy they cut a couple weeks ago. It just looks like they're bringing him in there to fill numbers and compete. I mean, me and EM, I said the only guy I would really reach out to is Taylor Gabriel, but me and EM both were pretty firm in the stance that just ride it out with what you have. We talked about Matt Cole, how versatile he is. He could be a special team specialist, whether you want him to be on the gunner. He could punt return, he could kick return. He also play the slot. He's a better route runner than Kirk Merritt. He's just, he's got that 4.48 speed or whatever too. So when you look at what they have right now, what is, EM, I'll start with you. What does Ricardo look like? Does that even at all move the meter for you?
No, not at all. I'm totally in agreement with you. It's just more of a depth piece, a numbers piece, if you will. They, again, like you said, they cut him a couple weeks ago. I don't see him improving within that time frame of them bringing him back, today. So yeah, it did nothing for me. I just think, again, they're just trying to get, their numbers back up. And, but is it a possibility he might show something in flash? Maybe a small possibility, but us as Dolphin fans, we shouldn't get our hopes up about this player.
Havoc, is it telling to you that, we heard the name, obviously, 7-Eleven, Chris Hogan, we heard Chester Rogers, these slot guys. Is it also telling to you that they didn't even bother to invest in one of these veteran slot guys?
It tells me that they like who they got already, in regards to Ricardo Lewis. It's got contingency plan written all over it. A guy not really competing or realistically in competition for a spot on the roster, maybe a body you keep around. You put him on the extended practice squad list as just a guy to have around just in case you have an outbreak. But that's about the size of it for Ricardo Lewis, I think, on this team.
Rhino, what are your thoughts about the addition of Ricardo Lewis?
Well, it's a subtraction by addition. He was here before, right? So it just seems like camp body to me.
Nothing more.
Even at college, yeah. I mean, even in Auburn, 2015, he didn't do that much anyway. 400 or 500 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, kind of wishing a prayer, I would guess.
Are you surprised they didn't at all dip into the free agent pool?
I think no. I think maybe next week might be the time to do that. I think a lot of things are going to happen next week or right before August 17th. That's when I think it's going to become crazy town in the NFL.
And I just want to address Jeff. Like I mentioned earlier, Chan Gailey is running the Miami Dolphins. No, he wasn't. In his Zoom call today, they asked him what he'd been doing for the last 3 years, and he said he hadn't even been involved in football. The most he said he'd been around a football field in the last 3 years was watching his son coach's high school team. So he talked about how he got the call after the season from Brian Flores specifically. Okay, so I mean, it's also pretty encouraging to see all those names come back, especially Kirk Merritt with the holes there. It's really encouraging to see them all come back, and then obviously no one tested positive. And I'll give you guys the floor on this. Latrell Davin wants thoughts about a Josh Gordon signing.
I mean, buyer beware is what I would say. Even when he was, on New England and, they were giving him a chance to be productive, it appeared that, his best years are behind him, which is really odd because he's had a lot of time off and he's only 29 years old. But he didn't seem like that 1,000-yard, perennial Pro Bowl type wide receiver when he was there. So maybe it's just, we're just in a time now where guys that, usually wouldn't be getting looks are going to get looks now.
Yeah.
At a certain point, teams are going to run low on players, even if they don't have the virus. Somebody on the team may get it, and they got to quarantine everyone around that particular player.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to hear names that you thought, oh, they're still in the league. You're going to hear a lot of that this season. So, it's nothing for me. It's nothing really to get excited about.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the Seahawks were, they were entertaining bringing him back. Once he, they were entertaining or they brought him back, or they were close to bringing him back.
Shout out to Dougley. He says, "What's up, Reason EM Havoc and Rhino? How's everyone doing?"
What's good, Dougley? How you doing?
It's good, Dougley. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with the whole. I don't know what's. I mean, we've heard they were also bringing Clowney back too, and now I've heard that they're totally going off Clowney and they're looking at other options. I mean, I don't know what's going on right now.
Clowney, man, he must be still trying to get that $15 million, man.
Man, he played that card. He played that hand wrong. Oh,
so where were you guys signing? What number would you sign that?
Give me if I would take him 1 year, $10 million.
Yeah. All day.
Yeah.
He should see what happened. I guarantee you in hindsight, he's thinking, damn, I should have took that. I should have agreed to that trade, from Houston initially when the Dolphins, came calling. I guarantee he's like, damn. Because they were going to, if you believe the reports, the Dolphins were willing to give him, I think, 16 or 17, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guarantee you in hindsight, he's regretting that decision. I'm sure.
Yeah. He's not getting the $20 million that he initially was asked.
Oh,
no way. No. So the fact that, COVID hurt, I've said this before, COVID hurt him, that he couldn't get in for a physical because he's got so many ailments to his body right now. Now, if he could have got into a physical during that process, he'd probably be signed right now. I don't think he'd be signed for $20 million, but he'd be signed right now.
Yeah, it's tough because, also with Clowney, probably the best he's going to get is a 1 year deal. You're talking about that's a lot of guaranteed money he left on the table.
Oh, definitely.
So as we move on here, before we get into what the coaches said, let's get into what Mike Tannenbaum, everyone's favorite former Dolphins executive, was talking out of his mouth about our beloved Miami Dolphins, and you might be a little surprised.
Can't wait to hear this.
I'm not. I'm not at all.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about then, eh?
Yeah. I'm 100% in agreement with him, bro.
So Mike Tannenbaum, I'll read it for everyone. Mike Tannenbaum, the Dolphins' former lead football executive and now an NFL student analyst for ESPN, he went in and he basically said they were basically asked who has the best defense in the AFC, and Tannenbaum declared that the Dolphins have the best defense in the AFC East when former Jets guard Damien Woody was very much on the side of Buffalo. And this is what Tannenbaum said. He said, look at their secondary. They can play man-to-man with anybody. They signed Byron Jones from the Dallas Cowboys. They have Xavier Howard. They have a guy like Bob McCain, a former corner at safety. They can really match up and play man-to-man on the back end. And on the front end, I really like the versatility. Kyle Van Noy, former New England Patriot that Brian Flores brought down. Last year's former first-round pick, Christian Wilkins. They're talented, but they're also versatile. They should be able to rush the passer, and they can play man-to-man on the back end, like you said. And when you can do those two things, you should have a very good defense, I believe is what they meant to say here. Woody, after he finally stopped laughing, said, Mike T, you saying that with a straight face right now, better than the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills second in the league last year. I know you live down in South Florida, Mike. So, I mean, Mike Tannenbaum, who was pretty harsh I wouldn't say harsh, but he's pretty adamant that we would have taken Justin Herbert over Tua Tagovailoa. So you look at him right now, he's always throwing barbs, even if they've been passive aggressive whenever he's had the chance. The fact that he's giving our defense on a national scale this type of props, specifically our secondary. EM, we know what you agree with it. So Ryan, we'll start with you, and then we'll ask. And then we'll go to Havoc. Rhino, what are your thoughts on Tannenbaum for once actually praising our team?
First of all, F T-Bum. And I'm surprised. It just seems like he has it out for us, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's really giving his honest opinion and he's not really a troll. But we have to see it. We have to see it happen on the field. I think Woody can make that kind of argument against it, but he cannot make an argument against the potential and what's on paper. I mean, the Dolphins should be the best team in the AFC East.
Mm-hmm. Havoc?
I mean, I felt it when he was running the organization. I still feel he is an unreliable source of talent evaluation. So when he praises us or he wants to, be passive aggressive about us, it doesn't matter to me either way what his opinions are, because I don't trust his opinion, his decision-making process. So he thinks we're great. Otherwise, he's just another dude that works for ESPN in my opinion.
Why are y'all saying that he's taken shots at us in the past? Are y'all talking about the Tua situation?
The Herbert. Yeah, that's where my focus.
Well, think about this. Mike Tannenbaum is still on the payroll, pretty much. Okay,
True.
So that could have all been a part of this plan.
Misinformation.
Exactly.
But it is pretty known. It is pretty known that he was pretty high on them when they were scouting. But I do want to shout out to the homie Great One DeVore also stopping by. I see Dougley there, Great One there, and Dougley just said he's gonna I dropped the bomb in the his comments earlier today. Shout out to Dougley. He kept showing us mad love on his show today, just telling people to subscribe. Shout out to you, Dougley. And I mean, I would tell all the subscribers to subscribe, but I know they all subscribe to you, Dougley.
Yeah.
But, that's the big dog.
He said, I said, man, we were talking about his helmet. He pulled his helmet out because he got to a light goal, and and I said, yo, man, next year training camp, you need to get that signed by Tua. And I said, when you're out of training camp next year, let's sit down and have a beer because me and EM are already going to be out there. And Dougley, me and EM have already okayed it with our wives. So run it by your fiance, bro, because we already had that. So next year, I've already got a couple other people that are going to be reaching down too. So we're going to have a little ball game. Looks like he's going to be joining us too. The homie Dante.
I'm going to try.
The homie Dante is going to try. So we're going to have a little training camp click next year. So, yeah, man, Dougley, either way, get down there because we're gonna share some beers, brother. And Great One, you're gonna get down there too, and we all gonna share beers and have some laughs. So it'll be a good time next year for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Sounds like an interesting time. My mom still lives down there, so
bro, you popped
I got a place
bro.
to stay.
Yeah, sleep.
You as well, have it.
There it goes.
Let's roll. Everyone's welcome. So.
Oh yeah.
We got. I just wanted to go over. We got some people. Okay, guys. I see y'all starting to pile up backstage. Just give us a few minutes. We're just gonna get through some of these. Some of what the coaches were talking about today specifically. So, what do you guys want to start off with? Let's start off with Chan Gailey, I guess, the big dog. Chan Gailey, he said some pretty interesting things today, guys. I really do want to point out too. He talked about how he hadn't seen Tua Tagovailoa throw live, but the quarterback coach talked about how he hadn't seen him throw live, and I know people on the internet were just blowing up. Oh my God, he hasn't thrown yet. And then I believe it was Joe Shad, and I believe it is in this article they did correct it that the coaches have seen Tua throw through walkthroughs. Mm-hmm. So when I was throwing out the hypothetical there that there's no way they haven't seen him throw. I mean, there's no way they haven't seen him throw. So, right. I mean, one of the things people always talk about Tua, guys, and I kind of wanted to highlight this is, oh my God, look at the talent around him. Who couldn't have succeeded? Well, if you listen to what Chan Gailey said, he said, you look at the success he's had. Obviously, he's a very good leader. You take all those great players they had in Alabama, it's got to come together on the field. You can do all the coaching you want, but when they walk out there on the field, the players play. You can see his leadership, his ability to throw the football, his touch, his game management, all that type of stuff. There were a bunch of good quarterbacks. We could have gotten one of several, and we were very glad to get to him. And that actually says right here, I haven't seen Tagovailoa live and in person throwing the football. Miami quarterbacks coach Robbie Brown added, though Brown has seen Tua Tagovailoa throw a football in a walkthrough, his point was he hasn't seen him practice yet. So, well, they haven't seen anyone practice yet, really. Let's just analyze this piece right here. When you talk about how he's a good leader, I mean, they talk about obviously the things we've highlighted plenty of times with his touch and his overall ability to throw the football. And the one thing, you go back months and months and months ago when me and EM were talking about Tua, we kept going off about the one thing we were excited about off the field was about how good of a leader this kid is. From what we've seen about Josh Rosen isn't known as a galvanizer, right? He's not known as that. And everything that had come out from teammates that had been drafted to the show from Alabama or players that were even still there always talked about his leadership skills, how big of a dog he is, et cetera, et cetera. When you look at this and now we heard Fitzpatrick go on, he couldn't stop gushing about how great of a leader he is, how people gravitate towards him was the exact quote. Now you're hearing Chan Gailey, a guy who's been around the league for 20 plus years. And the one thing he starts raving about is about how good of a leader is. And he kind of killed the notion to me that all of you people who are saying he succeeded because of his talent, coaches can only call the plays in. The players have to execute. And he was able – and another thing I wanted to say too, and I don't think no one's ever highlighted this. I think people really take away from Tua as a leader too was when you got all that talent, you got egos. Mm-hmm. And Tua has been able, whether it's Jerry Jeudy, think of it. Jerry Jeudy knew he was going to be a first-round pick. Henry Ruggs knew he was going to be a first-round pick. Devontae Smith knows he's going to be a first-round pick. Jalen Waddle knows he could be a top 10 pick, right? Najee Harris knows he's going to be in the first 2 rounds. Jedrick Wills knew he's going to be a top 10 pick. Alex Leatherwood knows he's going to probably go in the first round, high second. There's no way you're not dealing with egos. That's just on the offensive side of the football. And he was able to put them together. They rallied behind him, and they always performed a la how he almost brought them back against LSU. So my question to you, and we'll start with EM. What's your biggest takeaway from specifically what Gailey said about how good of a leader he is, how he brought all these players in Alabama together, and also when he highlighted his touch, his ability to throw the football, they also talked about the film they had watched on him too. This was basically asked what pops off to you when you watch the film. What was your overall sense with Chan Gailey and Tua Tagovailoa from the interview today?
I don't think EM's around. Yeah, he might have
stepped away.
Yeah.
So we'll go with you, Havoc.
Well, it only just reinforces, I think, what we already know, which is he has natural leadership ability. And, you don't hear the reports. He's trying to figure out how to be a leader. He's trying to figure out how to communicate with guys. He's already got it. And I think if you project it onto the NFL level, he is the prototype of what you want to draft. A guy that already has leadership ability and can be a leader of men early. Now, in terms of, there's a lot of talk because clearly it's a 2-man race between who's really going to play this season for the Miami Dolphins. To hear Chan Gailey, say not just, the praise about Tua, although he hasn't seen too much from Tua, but for him to say that the offense he's going to run is going to be dependent on the personnel that he has on the field. You're looking at a situation where, people are asking, well, are we going to run a lot of RPO because, Fitz is in? Is that going to work out? And Tua is different. Clearly, Chan Gailey has said, whoever is on the field, my offense is going to fit them. I do not have set in stone plays that I'm going to run regardless of who is out there. So I think what we need to understand is, even when, whenever Tua gets his chance to play, the play calling is going to be custom suited to his skill set, and that can only aid in his development this season.
Yeah, it goes back over what I've called this. That's why I've called this a hybrid offense, a spread. I'll give you if it's a base spread, but it's a hybrid because, I was saying it like he said and like he repeated today. He's not only going to scheme to player specific that he has. Chan Gailey's known that he's known for his in-game changes. He's going to scheme specific to also the team that he's facing that week. And he's humble enough. I said this, I believe I said this in Douglas' stream. I don't know where I said it, but he's humble enough where at halftime, if he realizes what he's schemed up, what he's drawn up isn't working, isn't working to what he's seeing from the defense, he'll throw a whole new look on him. And if people go back to when Flores hired him, that was one of the things that Flores highlighted that, we talk about Adam Gase, how Adam Gase is stubborn in his ways. This is how it's going to be. It's going to work. Chan Gailey's the exact opposite. And it seemed like Chad O'Shea was starting to act that way too, where it was more like, okay, this is what I've said and this is what I've game planned. I'm not diverting from the game plan. This is it. Where Chan Gailey says, okay, and he's been around long enough too, where if he sees certain looks, he basically knows how to counteract it like a chess match, right? So, that's another thing about being around for 20 plus years. But Rhino, what did you take away from what he specifically said about Tua? Because he even went in about how they asked him about the playbook and how about his development. Well, I've asked him about how he'll develop under Chan Gailey, and Chan Gailey said obviously he wants to have a big impact on his development, and he continued on about how Tua's development is basically come down to how quickly he can grasp the playbook, right? So what were your overall thoughts on what Chan Gailey had to specifically say about Tua?
First, it was great to hear Gailey say, we had the choice of several quarterbacks to draft. We decided on Tua. So obviously the team, whoever that may be, Flo, Greer, him, decided on this quarterback. And they must have a plan in mind for him. And for him to say that they're going to have to see how he takes the playbook and how he performs when they get on the field is just another way of saying, like he said, that we're going to adapt to what the players want to do and how they play. So that's all very good news. But for me, the thing, I think we got a kind of a little view of it last year with Fitz. Even though Fitz is not Gailey, you probably have to say one of the biggest offensive mind that has molded Fitz in his philosophy would have to be Gailey. And they were very lucky to have Fitz there to maybe have a little infusion of how Gailey sees things and how Fitz was able to adapt, because he was basically an offensive coordinator.
Gailey even highlighted that, he insinuated that Fitzpatrick was one of the reasons he also accepted this job.
Right.
Like he said, if Fitzpatrick wasn't here, we might be talking about a whole different circumstance right now.
The bridge.
Yeah.
Yep.
The bridge is doing his job from behind the scenes in front of the scenes. So,
and he specifically highlighted about just as badly as and how hard as he's working to be a competitor, he's also working just as hard to pass on what he's learned too. So
right. And I'm excited for Tua to get the taste of Gailey as well. It's a great starting point for Tua for his career. And I'm very excited. It looks like Gailey has the energy of a man 20 years younger. He seems rejuvenated and motivated. So it's all good stuff.
What did you think, EM? I asked you actually originally, but you stepped away. What did you think about what Chan Gailey had to specifically say actually about Tua? Well, I mean, we've talked about Fitz, so we'll talk about that too. You can add in the Fitz stuff.
I didn't hear exactly. I didn't hear the whole interview, so I kind of I just caught a few. I didn't hear everything he said about Tua. So exactly what did he say? Can you kind of go over that for me, bro?
Yeah, it's right up here on the screen, bro. He said
I can't see it on my.
Yeah, he said you look at the success he's had. Obviously, he's a good leader. You take all those great players that they had in Alabama.
Okay.
It's got to come together on the field. And then he also went on when they asked, I believe it was Omar. I forget what they asked him how he's going to develop Tua, how will Tua develop under him, and that's what he went on basically and said Tua's development is on how quickly he grasps the playbook, and he also said that he wants to have a big impact on Tua's career.
Yeah, well, I saw bits and pieces of that earlier, And it was refreshing to hear him say that, because we've been consistent about in our evaluation of Tua, about his leadership, obviously his tape, his on-the-field ability, his ability to distribute the football, and to hear Chan Gailey kind of highlight Tua's attributes and talk about how that is what, and well, I'm assuming when he made the statement that they had an opportunity to pick one of several quarterbacks, and they opted to pick Tua. That tells me that they were really, really high on him, obviously to select the number 5 overall. So it's nothing. It just basically confirms and reaffirms what we thought about him, our evaluation that we had on him all last year. So it's good to hear that. I think it's going to be good for Tua early on, because it looks like when you listen to Chan Gailey, that's the first time I've actually really sat and really listened to him. And it seems like he has a very, like we talked about in the past, about the temperament and the similar mindsets of Chris Greer, Brian Flores, and how Tua would mesh well with them.
Exactly.
In that regard, Chan Gailey sounds like he fits that. He has that same temperament and mindset as well.
Well, the other thing, they're all deep. If you actually go, what's the one thing between all of them? And Chan Gailey mentioned it today. They're all deep men of faith.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's going to help. That's going to be beneficial to Tua as well. Also the ability. We all know how good of a schemer and coordinator Chan Gailey is. So I just think it's going to be a relatively seamless transition for Tua, his implementation into this offense, this organization. So I'm elated to see him get on the field, and I just can't wait, man.
And one of the things he originally stressed when he started talking is how he wants a balanced offense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've heard him say here, if you're throwing 30 or 40 times, you're probably losing that football game. You know what I mean? You're losing.
And see, I said that from the beginning when we hired him as our coordinator. A lot of people automatically assume. I think a good portion of our fan base, they got caught up in the fact that Chan Gailey is credited to bringing and implementing the spread concept into the NFL, and they automatically made the assumption that he was going to base our offense at that formation. And I didn't. I emphatically disagree with that. If you look at Chan Gailey.
Hold on. That's not technically correct. He's known for bringing the college spread with the RPO, and what people are forgetting is the first letter stands for run in run pass option. So when you look at collegiate levels, a lot of them run spreads, but a lot of them are run heavy offenses out of spreads. That's what people were getting confused. They automatically assumed that because he runs a spread, or he's known for running a base spread, that automatically means he must be throwing the ball 30, 40 times a game with a 4 or 5 receiver set every single time. That's what I think.
I get it, but I'm talking about these spread. I'm talking about these spread formationally is what I think we got caught up in. I'm talking about why I thought it would be a more balanced approach in a traditional formations like power eye, strong eye, weak eye, multiple tight ends, 11, 12, 13 personnel packages. I think, and I was consistent about our approach being more balanced this year. And so I thought if you listen to Brian Flores, when he first was hired here, that is what he wanted to establish, a culture of physicality, and starting with the run game. And when he talked about Chan Gailey back at the combine, he kind of touched on that as well. What attracted him to Chan Gailey is about his the diversity in his approach, in his offensive game plans. So I think number one, when you establish a balanced attack offensively, it keeps defenses off balance. It's if you listen to Fitz the other day, he said that a running game is a quarterback's best friend, and I've been consistent about that since day one. So it was refreshing to hear him say that. When he said that he wanted to implement he wanted to be balanced. Number one, I thought all along that would be the approach, especially with no matter who's under center, but especially for a young rookie quarterback because if you can establish a running game, okay, it makes things easier and it gives you an opportunity to protect to it. or any whoever's under center. So it was refreshing to hear that. I thought all along that would be the approach. And again, I think we will see. I'm not saying we will not see spread formation. I'm not saying that at all. I just think it was somewhat premature for everybody to make the assumption that our offense will be based out of that formationally. So we'll see how it unfolds. We'll see.
Did they run the RPO in New York and with the Bills at all, or the spread?
They ran it with the Bills, and he ran more of a 2-back set and leaned heavily on the run with the Jets.
Yeah.
Another thing people don't realize too is, we've highlighted Tony Gonzalez and how, when he with Chan Gailey was at Kansas City, how that was one of his best careers. A lot of people forget the name too. When he was at Buffalo, they were running David Nelson out of the slot a lot, and he actually had 97 targets that year, 61 receptions on 97 targets that year. And that's David freaking Nelson. And then they got Scott Chandler the next year. But he if you are athletic, handsy, big body tight end, and you're deadly in open space, he'll target you. Yeah, that's why I don't.
What does that remind you of?
All these, exactly. All these people that were just all of a sudden, that's another misconception too. Everyone thought that the tight end was going to go by the wayside. So,
I was about to say,
it's
just good to see the different approach just from a personnel standpoint, like an interpersonal communication standpoint, where you're talking about a guy like O'Shea, who came with his offense from New England, that clearly multiple players could not understand fast enough. So when the season started, there wasn't any chemistry. We weren't moving as one front. But now you have a guy in house who's humble enough to say, I'm here to make these players better. It's my job to make them better. It's not their job to make me look good. So just fundamentally, that approach is way different. I think way more beneficial for a younger team to have versus someone with a quote unquote ready-made system trying to get everyone on board with it.
And he said one thing I like what he said as well was that he highlights individual skill sets, and whatever that specific player does well, that's what he's going to ask them to do within the confines of the offense. So again, y'all mentioned the humility. So I think it's going to be multiple at times. It'll be a matchup based, obviously, just like our defense, because Flores is big on being versatile and having the ability to scheme on a week-to-week basis. So I think that'll still be the approach. But I just think the priority will be the establishment of a running game, because it just benefits the team overall.
Yeah, great.
No, I agree. Any thoughts from you, Rhino?
No, I agree with everything they said. I think it's a good place for us to have someone lead the offense like Chan Gailey. We're in good hands.
I think particularly talking about having a rookie quarterback, you got a guy with 40 years experience coaching.
Crazy.
You know that's a guy you can lean on for
he's seen it all.
Reliable information. That's a guy you can lean on. And then you got Fitzpatrick, who's basically just another quarterback coach in waiting. So man, I mean, he's got a treasure trove of information.
Tua couldn't be drafted into a better situation, to be honest.
I agree.
And Tua has a wide receiving core that has chemistry together, most of them. So there's a plus there.
Yeah.
And I just cannot wait to see this dude get on the field, man. Am I the only one?
Nah, who cares? No big deal.
I cannot wait to see this dude get on the field.
I got a mini bottle of champagne ready. The second he hits the field, it's getting popped open.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
It's a new era.
I can't wait to see him.
So there were obviously every other position coach also had a Zoom today, and we'll go over a couple of those people who I thought had some interesting things to say. We'll start with Eric Studsville. or Stootsville, however you want to pronounce it. He's like, basically, he wasn't ready to give up on Balaj yet. He's like, there's things we look at and study with 2019, but I'm going forward with Kalen. He's a smart guy. He's passionate about this. He wants to be good. I know he wants to improve on that performance. He's giving great effort in meetings on the field. We've got to see how it plays out. But he was basically asked if he was disappointed that they didn't land one of the top running backs in the draft, and he said there are a lot of things that go in there. I've always approached it that it's not what I can control. So the most PR answer ever to say, yeah, I'm disappointed we didn't get a DeAndre Swift, a JK, or a Jonathan Taylor. But I mean, at the same time, he's saying, I'm moving forward with Kalen. But at this point, what does that mean? Cuts haven't even started, right? There's still, if you include Malcolm Perry, we've still got 6 running backs on the roster right now. So you're moving ahead with everyone back there. I mean, you could say the same thing for Josh Rosen right now. You're moving ahead with Josh Rosen. Don't mean Jack Bo Diddley. It just means he's on that you haven't made cuts yet, and you're going to see how it plays out when the pads go on next week. So
maybe a starter for whatever reason.
So hold on. I want EM to give me 1.8 reasons why the Dolphins.
That's less than 2 EM. That's less than 2.
Yeah. That was very interesting to hear him say that about Kalen Balaj. It just tells me that they're willing to continue their investment on the talent. This is what screamed out to me. 6'3", 235 pounds with 4.42 speed.
Bro, stop getting me low. We're going to hear you. Hang
on. That is what, when I heard him say that, I said, well, yeah, they want to continue that. They want to further that investment on Kalen Balaj, the talent. But did you not hear what he said? He's going to have to prove it on the field, and we have to see and identify what he can contribute to the offense, and we'll go from there.
Because this is nothing more than a PR answer about a guy who's still on the roster with another 5 running backs. That's all it is.
Okay, but at the end of the day,
here's the thing, EM. You can't separate this from what they say with Rosen. It's the same exact thing. It's just in different words because he's in a different position.
Well, my stance on Josh Rosen, I just don't think he's that talented. This kid has all-world ability. Okay,
all-world ability.
Rosen's talent.
No. He does all-world ability is Barry Sanders.
Well, from physically, okay, 6'3",
yeah, bro, I don't want athletes trying to be football players.
Okay,
football players that are athletes.
Well, according to Mr. Studsville, they're willing to further that investment.
Where did he say that?
Hang on. He said he's moving forward with Kalen Balaj. I mean,
but you're moving forward with six running backs.
Okay.
Forward with 6 running backs.
Listen. At the end of the day, Kalen Balaj is arguably the most talented.
That's the thing. You're reading into this like a Josh Rosen reads into
No.
A little bit.
No. The reason why I'm not reading into the reason why I don't compare this to Josh Rosen is because Josh Rosen is not that talented to me. Kalen Balaj is, from a running back standpoint, he is gifted.
He's an athlete. He didn't even kill in college, man. Miles Gaskin had a better collegiate tape than this guy, bro.
You can make a legitimate argument that Kalen Balaj is the most talented running back on this roster.
No, you can't.
Wow.
Why can't you?
No, you can't.
Physically,
I got 1.8 reasons why. I got 1.8 reasons why.
You are confusing right now athleticism with talent.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say.
Physical.
No.
Yes, you are. There's a difference in athleticism and talent, bro. Talented can see his holes, create his own holes, has great vision. Caleb Balaj has none of those things.
Listen, well, isn't that what? Don't generally in the draft, bro, the more talented players get drafted higher. Isn't that how the draft usually works?
So Josh Rosen at 10. Now you want to use that? Let's use that same argument.
Hey, listen. Listen. Teams miss on evaluations all the time. All I'm saying is this: from what he said, this tells me that they're willing to further their investment on this kid, probably into training camp, midway through training camp. Maybe
for his potential.
He might.
They're doing that for 6 guys back there. That's the same answer they'd give you for Malcolm Perry, Miles Gaskin, Patrick Laird. That's literally
okay. And what?
Yeah, but and yo, I gotta kill your whole. And you can your whole confusion, confusing talent with athleticism, bro. And you're gushing over athletic profiles. You're the type of guy that would draft Carroll, bro. And
physical talent. That is what. Hey, listen.
I see EM's play. I see it.
That was a good question.
I mean, Larry, by your logic, Carl Lewis is the greatest football player ever because he's such an athlete, bro.
Listen,
so fast.
When we had Brian on the show some months back from Quarterback Film Room, what did he say that coaches value more than anything? Physical traits, right?
Let's talk about
players in general, bro. Players in general. That's what coaches value. Physical traits.
So why did Josh Rosen go? Josh Rosen again? Why did Josh Rosen go 10?
Listen, I am not saying I'm not saying coaches don't whiff and don't miss on evaluation. I'm not saying that at all.
Clearly, I could just produce 8 yards per carry. That was a whiff. That's a whiff on a running back.
But what I am saying, all I'm saying is this. From a physical talent standpoint, what Mr. Studfield, what screamed out to me was the fact that they're willing to further the investment on Caleb Blige, the talent. The physical talent.
No, the physical athleticism. There's a difference. Physical
talent. Stop, bro.
He doesn't even have good hands. Where are we going? You're confusing athleticism with talent, bro.
Listen to what he said.
Combine numbers are athleticism, not talent.
Hey, look, you gonna sit there and talk with me? You gonna let me finish my statement or what?
Bro, cause stop saying that.
Bro, stop cutting me off.
You're wrong, bro. You're wrong.
I'm here to say I'm here to give my opinion, just like everybody up there on this panel. Just close your mouth and listen.
Bro, don't tell me to close my mouth, bro, because I can do this if I want, and I can close your mouth, bro. So don't be telling me to close my mouth, bro.
Listen, bro, that's what you need to do.
No, you need to do. You need to learn how to get a dictionary. You need to look at the definition of talent, and you need to look at the definition of athleticism. Two different things.
What Mr. Stedman, what screamed out to me, which the question was presented to me, was that, Ian, what do you think, based off of what he said, what is your opinion on what he said? And I'm telling you.
You're so right now agreeing with you. That's how right you are.
Based off of what he said, what it sounded like to me is that they are willing to further the investment on Kalen Ballage's physical traits. Period. And he said Kalen is going to have to prove. He's going to have to prove it on the field what value he brings to this offense. He said that, and that's what I said. He's going to have to prove it on the field.
But that's not what I'm talking about here. You keep going about how talented he is when he's done nothing to prove he's talented as a running back. He's an athlete. That's all he's shown. He has athletic ability. He has not shown he is talented as a running back. Talent and athleticism are two different definitions.
You were saying you listen.
Go pull up a dictionary and tell him.
No, bro. I know the difference. I said physical traits.
You kept talking about how physically talented he is, bro.
If you listen to Brian Flores and them consistently last year, what were they talking about in training camp? This kid's physical ability. They were glowing.
I'm not arguing whether he's an athlete. I'm talking about whether he's a talented football player, because those are two different things.
I said, listen, physical traits, bro. That's what I said. Physical ability.
You kept using the word talented. That's why we are at this position. Now you have cut it out of your whole thing.
Excuse me. Based off Caleb Ballage's physical traits, that is what they are willing to continue their investment in. Period. That's what this article said, screamed at me. You can make a legitimate argument. This kid is the most talented from a physical standpoint, from a height, weight, speed perspective.
That's called athletic gifted. That's not talented. That's called physically gifted. That's not called talent.
Bro,
I gotta pull out a dictionary. We gotta actually pull this up.
Listen. You can make a legitimate argument. This kid's physical traits are the best on this team in our running back room. You can make a legitimate argument.
I'll take Matt Breda, the guy who can run 23 miles.
That's fine. Okay, that's fine.
All day over that. And who's way more elusive and who can find holes on himself. I'll take
you take Matt Breda. and the fact that this kid is still on the roster, that tells you they want to see. They want to see what he has.
He's battling for the 3rd or 4th spot. He ain't battling for anything more than that.
Well, it's not like they drafted a kid in the 1st round. They got it. I mean, he's a 4th round pick, bro. He's on a cheap contract. Okay, they're just looking for him to contribute in some way, shape, or form within the confines of this offense. That's all. Nobody's saying this guy's gonna be Christian McCaffrey or
Yeah, but bro, when you go going on about how this guy's the most he's not more talented than as a running back, not as an athlete. As a running back, he's not more talented than Breida or Jordan Howard, and even as an athlete, I don't think he's as talented as Matt Breida.
From a height, weight, speed perspective, really? Okay.
Who's shown me more from an athletic, even let's not even talk about it as a football player, who's shown me more from an athletic standpoint live in game on Sundays? Matt Breida and Kalen Ballage. I'm not talking about in training camp. I'm not talking about in practice. I'm talking about when the lights are on, when the ref is on the field, who showed they're the most talented athlete.
I'm not saying Matt Breida's not a better player. Who's disputing that? I've never said that. But he was not a better player.
He also showed that when the lights turn on, he's also a better athlete in game. Maybe not in practice, but in game.
Faster.
But he's elusive. He's quick. He's elusive.
He is. They're two different styles anyway. Okay? They're two different styles of running backs anyway. So I'm not.
Yeah, you got a pylon moving for 1.8 yards, and you got a guy who's an actual legitimate NFL running back.
Well, keep hating on him about his 1.8 yards per carry. That's fine, and he should be criticized accordingly. But all I'm saying, the question was, what did I get from this article? And I'm telling you, they are willing to further the investment on Kalen Ballage's physical traits, his athleticism is what that tells me.
y'all are here arguing about
my God,
Kalen Ballage.
You gotta separate the words.
Go ahead.
Different thing.
Man, this is a nonsensical argument. It is a semantical argument. I understand that, but it's a nonsensical argument at the end of the day. Now, this quote that I'm seeing, this is a generic quote that can be said about any player at any position vying for any spot. We know from a talent perspective, we understand who Kalen Ballage is. And I said this once, and I said it twice, and I'm going to keep saying it. You can't fall in love with these look-the-part all-stars.
Hey, well, tell Brian Flores that. Go tell that to Brian Flores.
I want to know when he looked apart.
Go tell that to Brian. Hey, listen. Go tell that to Brian Flores.
Listen. At the end of the day, he is working with the resources he has. He can't go out here and tell y'all how he really feels about Kalen Ballage. He can't come out here and tell you how he really feels about Durham Smythe or Josh Rosen. You're never gonna get how he really feels,
especially
about any player. But what we do have, we have the luxury of tape, and the tape shows me that he is not a talented NFL running back. He may be a great long jumper. He may be a triple jump. He may kill it in the triple jump. I mean, pole vaulting. I'm trying to find a job for him with his physical traits because he ain't cutting it at running back in my estimation. Now, yeah, I'm serious.
And that's legitimate. And that is legitimate.
But I understand the argument. He is physically, he walks in the room, you look at him and you say, this guy should be head and shoulders the best player in this room. But he consistently shows he's not. So at a certain point, you gotta fall out of love with the traits, and you gotta fall out of love with the athleticism, and you have to value the intangibles and the talent, the vision, hands, things of that nature. All these areas, Kalen Ballage is lacking in. So you can be big and fast all day long.
Nobody's disputing that. Nobody tried to dispute that.
I'm just saying you can be big and fast all day long, but if you can't hit the right gaps, if you broke one more tackle in the 2019 season than me, I don't know what do you want me to do with that? That's all I'm saying.
He should be criticized. That's legitimate. He should be criticized accordingly by what he put on tape last year. But this staff has been consistent about how they feel about him, his ability. Okay. So and Eric Studesville today just reiterated, in my opinion, he just reiterated what Brian Floyd's been saying all last year. I like Kalen Ballage. I love him. I believe in Kalen Ballage is what he was saying. So I'm just saying.
And I'm pretty sure at one point they said we believe in Josh as well.
Well, I mean, I've never heard that.
They're giving you the company line. They're giving you that's the company line, right? You can't you don't devalue your own assets, right? That's the company line.
So much. Why would you be going out and get Jordan Howard and Matt Breida?
Well, obviously an upgrade. Obviously an upgrade was needed. But again, I can see why. Listen. Nobody's disputing that. What I'm saying is, I think when I look at, and I'm not the biggest Kalen Ballage fan here. I'm just going by what Brian Flores has been consistent about, and I think what Eric Studesville, what he was saying today to me was that they're willing to continue the investment on his physical ability. We'll see.
At a certain point, Kalen Ballage is going to be the most physically talented manager at Wingstop if he keeps 1.8 yards a carry. And the
Matt Hollins will be the assistant manager.
Mac Hollins is going to be on the fryer. Mac Hollins, get it right. Half garlic parmesan, half mango habanero. Don't mess this up.
We'll see.
With blue cheese.
Yeah, don't forget the celery sticks, kid.
We're gonna see real soon. So,
and yeah, we've seen.
I know. What more do you need to see? Bro, his 1.8 yards per carry is as bad as the QBR Josh Rosen put up last year. It's literally.
I think you're all right. I think you're all right. It's a conundrum because
he's on a cheap contract though.
To be honest,
obviously, Flo does like him.
Malcolm Perry's his biggest threat.
He said, "I love it. I love Kalen Ballage."
But Flo obviously must like him. I think he likes him as much as he likes Baker. It doesn't make any sense, but there they are. You know, I mean, the thing is that. Well, I know. But the thing is that we all know that Breida and Howard are going to be our starters. We're talking about the third and fourth running back. And I think it's a problem with a lot of head coaches. We all know this. They fall in love with players. They feel that they can take this player. He runs, he cuts, he does all these things. I can coach him up and make him the one cut and not run into offensive linemen's butts anymore like Ballage does. You know?
That's the mentality of every coach. That's why one thing you cannot teach is physical ability. You can't teach that. So that's why you see every single year players get pushed up draft boards based off athleticism.
It's usually
defensive coaches require that.
It's usually defensive end.
Traits. They require traits. They require traits because you can't coach that.
But those guys that get pushed up are usually defensive ends or corners. That's usually what you see get pushed up into the first. Go look in the last 10 years about how many defensive ends in the top 20 have busted out because of the raw physical traits they were drafted on. The Oakland Raiders, look at the Oakland Raiders with Farrell, right? That guy should have been drafted where he was drafted at, and they drafted him based purely on his raw physical tools, right?
I'm not going to do. I'm not debating that reason. You know, I talked privately. I agree with you 100% on it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just telling you how it is. That's the nature of the draft.
Especially, I mean, look at running backs, guys with physical traits. Look at Ballage. He went in fourth, but the guys who look like they are ready to go, like a DeAndre Swift or Jonathan Taylor, who we know were a little bit more ready than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, didn't go till the top of the second. And if you go back, that kind of changed because remember where Gurley went. What did Gurley go at 10 or 12, right?
Yeah, he was top 15.
Yeah, he went at 10 or 12. I actually wanted him for that because I think we picked either right after the Rams or two after the Rams, and I was hoping he would slip to us. But a lot has even changed with running backs in the last 5 years, man. Like, you know, the fact is I know a lot of people are talking about like a guy like Travis Etienne getting to the first round this year, but, you know, it's going to have – to me – it's going to have to take a super transcendent back, you know, to now get in that top 10 now. Like Ezekiel might have been the last top 5, top 10 guy we've seen for a while.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Ezekiel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a situation where you're looking, you know, Kalen Ballage wasn't necessarily the most productive college player as well.
He wasn't.
He wasn't the most.
Hold on a sec. You'd probably know because I don't know off the top of my head, where was McCaffrey drafted?
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that. I think he went 8th, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah. I was just about to ask you that. That's exactly what I was going to ask you, but I think he went 8th.
I'm not sure. But just to go back, Kalen Ballage wasn't the most productive player in college as well. And I think, what happens is, coaches, they see a guy's measurables and they say, oh, if I can just get my hands on this guy, I can mold him into something. The Dolphins aren't the first organization that said, if I can get my hands on Mac Hollins, I can turn him into something. And then, you got a future Wingstop employee. So we just need to understand at a certain point, these look the part all-stars, they reach a finish line. It happens.
I agree.
It happens. Martavius Bryant is out here. He came onto the scene, all the measurables, struggling to find a place in the NFL now. So, at a certain point, these look the part all-stars, they reach the end of their rope where you can't rely on their physical ability and you have to evaluate them on their production. So Kalen Ballage is going to have to be very productive in a limited role.
I agree.
To really prove his place on this team.
But I think everybody's production, if now on paper we can all agree that we've improved up front. You know what I mean? The question is how much. But if we get an improvement up front, everybody's production should go up in theory. You know what I mean? Not only, Kalen Ballage, Patrick Laird, because I think personally those would be my 4 running backs that I would keep. Breida, obviously, Howard, Kalen Ballage, and Patrick Laird. So I think we're going to see an increased production. Hopefully. Okay, I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but hopefully. So we'll see how it all unfold soon, bro.
Hey, training camp will tell.
So would you move Malcolm Perry to the slot or just cut him to the practice squad?
Well, who, me? You asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I thought from the start.
10 pounds lighter than Breida too, right? Remember?
Yeah. Well, I said that from the start. I thought I thought initially that would be his implementation was at the slot position. I didn't think necessarily he had an NFL caliber arm, you know what I mean, to be, assigned at third on the depth chart. I didn't think he was good enough I just don't think he's an NFL caliber quarterback. Yeah, and then on top of it, I think he's way too small to play running back. And, but again, if you look at his individual skill set, I think he can be dynamic in that Julian Edelman, aka Wes Welker type role if they deploy him that way, because he's tough to cover in space. His ability, his shiftiness, and his ability, to make people miss in the open field, bro. That's what those are the traits that you want, that you desire in a slot guy. But again, I think he's going to have to put on a little more weight and get stronger. He's going to definitely have to hit that weight room. But I see the Julian Edelman comparisons. I really do when you look at his tape.
Yeah, I hear you. But in the college game, they have a name for guys that don't have a particular position. They just call them athletes. And you're gonna have to take that same approach to Malcolm Perry. He can play a little bit of quarterback. He can run a little bit. He can catch a little bit. He can do a little bit of some. He's your little bit guy, right? He's a guy whose place on this roster is solely dependent on his versatility.
Right, and I do agree. I do agree with Reason on this though. Just kind of sprinkle him in as a gadget guy. With the RPO concept, with the
some wildcat,
wildcat concept. So. Hopefully he can turn out to be that player because, those players, if you deploy them right, look at the production that the Saints get from Taysom Hill. You know what I mean? Look at, Washington, the Randall Ells of the world, the Antoine Randall Ells, going back some years.
Early Cordell
Stewart. So hopefully he can, Cordell get him on the field. Starter, though.
Yeah, but he started off as a gadget guy.
Yeah, he took him to they went to a Super Bowl with Cordell. They lost, though, I'm pretty sure, right?
Did they go to the Super Bowl? Who beat them?
Yeah, no. They went to the Super Bowl with Neil O'Donnell, remember? And they got to the AFC Championship game and got beat by Denver with Cordell.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so Scott Marshall said a few interesting things. He was asked about the uneasiness of starting a high-round rookie like Austin Jackson or Robert Hunt in week 1 of the regular season without any preseason games this year. And he said if they were in 3 or 4 preseason games, it's the nature of the NFL that there's going to be trepidation about going with a rookie, he said. And would you feel like we've done enough to get them ready? Absolutely. There's uneasiness, but it wouldn't change if we're getting ready to play the first preseason game. Everyone is in the same boat that way. I would be worried for veteran guys in the first game. And basically he was asked about Hunt and what the long-term vision about him for guard or tackle is. He said, I love the heck out of him. He's competing his tail off. He's a great young kid, productive player out of college. Every day is a new adventure for him mentally. He's learning the NFL game coming from Lafayette. We'll see where it goes. I really like Rob. He's got a lot of character and is a smart guy. And then they were asked basically would the offensive line potentially change if the Dolphins go with a left-handed quarterback over the right-handed Fitzpatrick. And there's some, he said, and I quote, there's some truth in the difference between the left and the right tackle debate. But at the end of the day, we're looking for the 5 best.
No mention of Austin Jackson, huh?
He was asked about does he feel uneasy about starting Austin Jackson or Robert Hunt. That's where he said if there were 3 or 4 games, that was about Hunt and Jackson.
It's interesting. I mean, I think number one, this is a lesson in understanding what a PR-driven statement is and what a personalized statement is. This statement he made about Robert Hunt, that is someone that has seen him, that has talked to him, and has made that evaluation about Robert Hunt. When you hear a statement where it's all generalities, he's working real hard, he's doing everything we ask of him, that is a statement that you can attribute, that is commonly attributed to the Josh Rosens and Kalen Ballages of the world. So this statement about Robert Hunt, I mean, that's the main thing I'm looking at, because I think when they drafted Austin Jackson, we all knew it was a work in progress. But Robert Hunt clearly is, ahead of him from a progress standpoint in terms of being ready to go. I mean, you can only be so ready to go as possible as a rookie, but he shows the ability to be more productive much earlier than possibly Austin Jackson will. So, I mean, I like what he's saying. Particularly for me, when I look at our draft, I wouldn't be surprised, outside of Tua, if Robert Hunt, between Hunt and Raekwon Davis, if Robert Hunt is the most productive player that we drafted. I'm that high on his run blocking ability. So, I like to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, it might not mean anything, but the fact that he kind of went out of his way to, bring up and talk about Robert Hunt. I mean, it's a good sign. It's good to hear these things. This kid is, now we need to kind of pump the brakes because they hadn't been in pads yet. So
next week.
Yeah, next week. So, but with that being said, it's good to hear this. It's very encouraging to hear this about Robert Hunt. We can all agree that, maybe Austin Jackson was more of a project than what we all thought Robert Hunt, at least initially. But yeah, it's encouraging to hear that. And again, we need to pump the brakes and kind of, just kind of wait until these players get the pads on, because that's when you get a true evaluation and a true feel of a player. I feel so. But it's definitely encouraging to hear.
Yeah, and he even had good things to say about Jesse Davis when he talked about how, because he remembered, because he had him back when he was at New York. He's a D lineman from Idaho, and he went off about how he's going to lean on Jesse Davis to be one of the leaders now in that room. So that was another good thing, because I think it's going to be. I think if they get it their way and Hunt performs, it'll be Jesse Davis at right guard and Hunt at right tackle if they get what they want. So,
I mean, I think Jesse Davis's best usage is as a swing O lineman, a guy that can fill in all along the offensive line, kind of like a backup version of what Patrick Chung does a little bit. But I mean, if you're looking at our roster, you know, of all, you know, there were times Jesse Davis got manhandled last season, but of all the O linemen we threw out there last season, you know, he was able to at least hold it together for the most part. So if he is a starter, you know, that I can roll with that. You know,
And
I can roll with that.
And see, he's another player as well, similar. And again, you know, I'm not, you know, driving that Kalen Ballage train. I'm just saying,
don't die on Holland Hill, and don't die on Ballage Bridge.
No. Listen, I mean, he's similar to Kalen Ballage, and I mean, what I mean by that is the coaches really love Jesse Davis. They like his ability. They love what he brings off
highly
the field,
versatile.
So they love him as a player. So I just don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that we could see a significant improvement in him as well this year. Players get better every year. Players trend up. Players, you know, they get better every single year. So I'm comfortable. Well, I'm not. You know, I'm not going to say comfortable. You know, but but
as comfortable as possible.
Right. So either scenario, hopefully Robert Hunt, because it seemed to be, according to early articles that we've talked about, that they seem to be really want Robert Hunt to be that right tackle, that solution at right tackle. So hopefully he takes that.
I got to point this out here, and I don't mean to call this person out, but I just got to correct this person in our comment section. Daniel says, I'd rather have Robert Hunt as right guard than Solomon Kinley at right tackle. See, here's the problem, Daniel. Solomon Kinley has only played left guard his whole entire career. Now, if you're going to ask him to go out on the edge, take on athletic guys, strong guys. See, he's, you know, you've heard EM talk specifically about those phone booth type of guys. That is literally the definition of Solomon McKinley. He's an absolute behemoth of a human being, but he is a phone booth guy. In open space, he would get destroyed on the end. So, yeah, that's not the reason why Robert Hunt may be able to make it, is because if you look at him in open space, whether he's at the first level, second level, he is a force, and that's
a dog.
He's also very athletic and plays with that violent streak. So, you know, he's got way better feet than a guy like Solomon McKinley when he slides into his pass sets and his run sets. And you got to have a certain level of IQ, I believe, already developed to play right tackle at the NFL level. That's why you see tackles get moved into guard and not guards moved out to tackles. It's a whole different monster.
Example, Eric Flowers.
Exactly. And on top of that, not only all that has he played left guard his whole career, to me, not only is offensive line, you know, arguably the hardest position to learn at that next level, specifically those tackle positions. So, you're going to get murdered if you do something like that, brother. So that's why you can't do something like that.
No, you definitely don't want to do that. Not Solomon.
Yeah,
no.
not as long as the Chandler Jones of the world are still roaming around the NFL. Talking Chandler Jones is out here talking about, you know, breaking the sack record like it's nothing.
That kid, Todd, what's good, homie?
It's good, Todd.
Hey, I want to bring something up. Who was the offensive coordinator when Cordell Stewart was
Chan Gailey.
Chan Gailey.
And he was the wide receivers coach the year Cordell Stewart got drafted in Pittsburgh.
You know what's crazy? I was an 85 baby, right? And obviously I was a Dolphins fan. So I was still fairly young when Cordell went that deep with them. But I remember it just as vividly. Like I remember, and same thing with EM. You'll know who was the Bucks quarterback that took them to the playoffs. It wasn't Brad Johnson. It was the light-skinned dude.
Trent Dilfer? Oh no.
No. He's a black. You said a light-skinned.
He's a black dude, but he was light-skinned. I know who you're talking about.
And they went
oh man,
Byron Leftwich?
No.
Was it?
He was garbage too.
Did he used to play for the Saints?
Oh, what is his name?
I have no idea who you're talking about, bro.
I have the picture. I have the face, but I can't say the name.
You sure you getting Vinny Testaverde mixed up with a black dude? You sure you're not?
Oh, man, we're talking about Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who you're talking about, bro.
During the McNabb era. Sean King.
Sean King. There you go.
Yeah.
Sean King. Yep.
Yeah. Sean King. Yeah.
With the
My
Tulane.
bad.
Very
Tulane.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sean
man.
King. Sean King ain't light skinned.
Yeah.
Sean King, man, that's a trivia question right there.
Yeah. He took him. I think Sean King took him to the NFC Championship game against the Greatest Show on Turf that year, right?
Yeah, they went deep.
1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they went deep. Yeah, he did.
It's interesting. Was it Michael Pittman was on that team, and now his son just got drafted?
Yes, sir. And you know what's crazy? Here's another thing too. I don't know if you got a shout out to if he's in the comment section. Ball game. Yo, here's another thing. EM can attest to this. We always talk about our private chats with like Ball Game and TD. Months ago, I was going off because I was diving into film about Michael Pittman, and I was like, "Yo, this kid is a beast." Da 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 da. And yo, here's a perfect thing of you remember EM when Ball Game was like, "Yo, we played." Remember his sons played Michael Pittman. And he was like, he's a slug bug. Da, 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 da. Like, way pre-draft process. I'm like, yo, this kid's going to be a beast. And then Ball Game watches some film on him on the draft. He's like, when did that kid become an athlete, bro? Yo, that kid, I'm telling you, that kid might be special in Indianapolis. Watch out, man. They got something special going on there with Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, Rivers with Jacob Eason learning under him.
Yeah.
Man,
and that offensive line.
Oh yeah, might be the best in football.
Quentin, they might have the best offensive lineman in football right there. Quentin Nelson.
Who are you? Yeah, I believe
definitely the left side.
EM, who are you taking?
Go ahead.
Raiders offensive line or the Colts offensive line?
No, I'm gonna still take the Raiders, bro.
Yeah, me too. I would gladly switch. I would gladly switch with them right now.
I love those big, meaty phone booth type guys, bro.
Yeah, give me a Rodney Hudson.
Yeah. Gabe Jackson.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, it kind of sounds like what Miami's trying to build. Those phone booth type guys.
Yep.
Just in the middle. We talked about this. They got the phone booth guys that's in the middle, and then they got the athletic guys with good feet moving into sets that can go to different levels on the outside.
And see, it's funny you bring in reason it's funny you bring that up, bro. You did when they interviewed the offensive line coach today. I thought it was interesting that he said that he was looking to be, we automatically see they're going to be primarily a power gap type, approach. But he said they're going to be multiple. And that's the reason why, because they've got linemen that have multiple skill sets, you know what I mean? Especially on the edges with the tackle. So I thought that was interesting that he said that today.
Even if you listen to what Chan Gailey said when he talked about basically I'm going to scheme to the guys I'm going with.
Right.
It's okay. If Josh Rosen starts, you're going to see don't read too deep into that, guys. All I'm saying is if Josh Rosen starts, you're going to see an offense tailored to more of a pocket quarterback, protection sets, all that kind of jazz, more run balance. If a Fitz or a Tua starts with that athleticism, all of a sudden you can start spreading in RPO concepts, all that kind of things that get the pocket moving and get the quarterback moving. You can start implementing those. So it's going to be all about who's back there, really.
In another, I want to address this to everyone. I want to address
right.
What?
I want to address this. What's that?
Rosen has a faster 40 than Fitzpatrick, right?
He has a faster what than Fitz?
Rosen had a faster 40 time than Fitzpatrick. So why can't you run the RPO?
Rosen doesn't have the requisite talent to be a pocket passer, nonetheless run the RPO.
Is that Pete? Wait. Is that Pete?
Yes, it is. Welcome to Pete's world.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I from what I've understand, from what I've personally witnessed, Josh Rosen's not much of an athlete.
But
don't y'all find
had a couple good rollouts last year?
Like 2.
My favorite.
That's Reason Rhino. Hey, listen, Reason Rhino in particular, but I'm addressing this to Reason and Rhino. But I'm y'all in particular, but I'm addressing everyone. Didn't y'all find it telling again with all of these coaches and no mention of Josh Rosen? Everything is about Tua.
It's interesting.
I didn't know if you guys talked about it. That's what
EM, not even surprised. Not surprised.
I'm just saying. I'm just
not
saying.
surprised.
Yeah, why are you going to talk? Why are you going to talk about your third stringer, bro?
I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying.
Well, the thing that hit me is that the offensive line coach is the one. The offensive line coach was asked about the left and the right tackles, and he was talking about how they're both important in his mind because they have Fitz, who's right-handed, so the left tackle is more important at that point, and he has a left-hander in Tua, and the right tackle is more important at that point. He never mentioned Rosen. No one asked him about Rosen. No one asked him about the quarterback. He asked about the offensive line.
I thought maybe it was me. I thought maybe it was me reading a little more into the situation than what I should.
Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard did it.
Just saying. Just saying.
I'm not doing this talk over debate stuff. So everyone at once, over concise. So Rhino, finish your thought with what you're saying about Jordan Howard.
Jordan Howard was basically asked about the leadership qualities of Fitzpatrick, and he gave the spiel how he's a team man, everything goes, and he's a leader of men. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, and he brought up Tua. He did not bring up Mr. Rosen. Doesn't mean anything. May mean everything. I don't know, but he wasn't He didn't ask anything about Rosen. He was asked about Fitzpatrick. And he didn't bring up Rosen, who was there for a year already. He brought up Tua, who just arrived as a leader. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know.
Pete, your mic's really low, so go ahead.
I mean, what would you like me to start?
Okay, EM, go ahead. I mean, like, I'm not going to sit here and wait for you.
Look. All I'm saying is, I don't know. I thought for a minute there, I thought maybe it was me. I was reading, a little more into the situation than what I should be. But I find it telling that you had the players interviewed last week, and you have these coaches and how they just were glowing, and how they were talking about Tua Tagovailoa, and then again the coaches. Fast forward another week, and the coaches not one mention of Josh Rosen. Again, the emphasis, the topic is about Tua Tagovailoa again. I'm just saying it just, to me, I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong, but I just find it telling, bro, that they're not even mentioning this guy. And the fact that even the beat writer's not even asking about him. You know what I mean? It's like they all know it's a foregone conclusion that Tua's going to be the guy. And Rosen is not in any plans at this point for the most part.
I mean,
they're not even inquiring about Josh Rosen.
We drafted a quarterback with our first pick, EM. There is no reason to be talking about a Josh Rosen or Ryan Fitzpatrick at this point. We are fully sold on the number one jersey selling quarterback right now.
I think you missed your turn. I think you missed your turn. You had your opportunity, Pete. I think you missed your opportunity. I think it's Havoc's turn.
Go ahead, Pete.
Go ahead. I'm kidding. I'm joking. Hi. I'm joking. Go ahead.
At the same time, we have all this going on for Tua, and we're still trying to argue about a simple point of Josh Rosen. The argument of Josh Rosen was last season. Last season, we were going into a quarterback position where we were going into Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh Rosen. What did Josh Rosen, what was everybody that didn't want Josh Rosen was saying? He is not going to give us no wins. He's not going to take us anywhere. Josh Rosen didn't take us anywhere when he played either. But at the same time, we already knew what Ryan Fitzpatrick was going to give us. No one knows what Josh Rosen is going to give us as a Dolphin in a full season. That's the whole argument there with the Josh Rosen and Fitzpatrick, I think, in this fan base.
I mean, I
But
think
nobody's doubting Tua's talent, or nobody's questioning should Josh Rosen start over Tua Tagovailoa when you spend a top 5 overall pick. Because I don't think nobody here on this panel can name the last quarterback that got picked in the top 5 pick that didn't start week 1.
Well, I mean Patrick Mahomes, but I get your point. Okay, so, I mean Patrick was, Alex Smith, right? They didn't move on to Alex Smith.
No, and Patrick Mahomes, I said top 5 pick. Patrick Mahomes was number 10.
It's a fair point.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I mean, usually teams picking down there are terrible. So they got to start the quarterback.
Out on using Daniel.
Top 5 pick.
Yeah, but we just missed. We missed out by like one pick by you being able to use Daniel Jones for that argument, right? Because Eli started. I mean, 6 and 5 is now you're arguing tomatoes.
Daniel Jones would have came to Miami last season and started here.
See, here's the thing. And here's the thing, Pete. I don't think a lot of people believe Josh Rosen would have won 5 out of those last 6 games.
But I'm not gonna argue that point with you either. Reason. I'm not gonna.
But if people can say that, then you pretty much know what you would have got out of last season from Rosen. You may have got 2 or 3 wins, maybe.
And that was the same thing with Fitzpatrick. You're gonna only get 3 to 5 wins.
Well, I mean, 2 to 3 than 5.
We have
playoff teams.
We have more seasons with Rosen, so we can go ahead and start him. And they pretty much played the same. They were both looking for deep shots.
I wouldn't say they were the same. I mean, clearly Fitzpatrick's pocket awareness and his ability to decipher, to break down decisions and recognize situations and make the right play.
Right? Like the way was a lot different too, right? So that was the one big key. I
mean,
Fitzpatrick's ability to call the protection properly.
The one thing that I've just noticed consistently across Josh Rosen's career has been every time I hear a coach or someone else make a statement about him, it always sounds like a statement that was typed up by someone that works in the PR office. And it's always the same few tropes. He's getting better. He's improving. He's working hard. You can say that about any football player. But you never really hear like a personalized, oh man, he's doing this. He's killing it doing this. He's taking the guys out for dinner. You never hear that. So,
the guys that have the media all on top of them and all over them in the locker room, those are the best players in the NFL.
Not always. I mean, if you are a top 10 pick and a bust, the media is going to be all over you. The media didn't leave Jamarcus Russell alone.
We're talking about that discussion is negative. That's already starting negative. Hey, Jamarcus Russell, you had the 3 picks this game, for example, but I'm talking about the main real good players that perform on the field. They have
but the issue is Jamarcus Russell and Josh Rosen's stat lines are similar.
Mm-hmm.
So it's accurate.
A very fair comparison.
And both of those players are kind of like similar. They're both deep.
I've said it before, guys. It's scary when in his first 2 years, a guy like Chad Henne showed you more than a guy like Josh Rosen has shown. I'll even make this argument. John Beck might have flashed a little bit more in his first 2 years than Josh Rosen.
Let's not be mean. Let's not be mean.
I'm not even being mean.
John Beck is a legitimate vacuum salesman.
In
my opinion, Josh Rosen threw passes last year as a Dolphin. He threw some passes that there was no possible way Ryan Fitzpatrick on that field would complete that pass.
Oh my God! Are you serious, Pete? Come on, bro.
Hey, Pete, I could say the same thing for Fitzpatrick too. There's no way Josh Rosen would have made that pass what Fitzpatrick made last year too.
I mean, you're gonna sit here and bring up an off-script play. That's my argument. You're gonna sit here.
Well, you know what? That's what they had to do. I got with you on the last panel. That's what they had to do, dude.
Miami Dolphins don't go to work every day, Dolphin 82, and sit here and want your quarterback to make things up every single play.
Listen, he had no choice. 90% of the team did not know the damn playbook, buddy.
If this trend continues, and he have to continue to rely on a quarterback to improvise and make plays,
It won't.
Then
But that's the NFL. That's the NFL.
It won't.
Kansas City just won one.
Brian Flores today.
It won't.
Yeah, but that's the NFL today. Most of the big plays come off of off-scripted broken plays.
Improvisation.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes isn't doing them sidewinder throws.
Lamar Jackson.
Thank you, Havoc. Thank you.
Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson. Have you seen him play? Russell Wilson.
Dolphin, do me a favor. Do not compare a 4-3 runner to a 5-2 runner. Never when you're coming to
I'm addressing your comment about improvisation. So, and I agree. I'm in agreement with Dolphin and Rhino.
Jackson has plays in his playbooks that are recommended straight to him as running wise. Not Fitzpatrick. They're not building plays in this playbook for Fitzpatrick to run, bro. It doesn't matter what you want to come up with right now.
Well, who's disputing that? Who's disputing that?
Oh, Todd again. Let's stick with the Packers, Todd. Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers made Hall of Fame off improvisation.
Yeah,
exactly. Who's disputing that, Pete? No, nobody's disputing that, bro.
Dan Marino.
Favre ain't running no 4-4 last I checked. Okay, Favre
exactly.
Dan Marino did the same thing. You guys at 40 years old in Minnesota. At 40 years old in Minnesota, Brett Favre.
Lamar Jackson. Like, how is that even possible?
Remember I said not talking over people, let people make a point. We're gonna practice that with you, Pete. All right. I love that beautiful thing. So Brett Favre was 40 years old and got the Vikings to the NFC Championship, and it was improvisation all day with that guy.
Yeah.
That's why he throws so many interceptions. But he won. And that's a guy not running a 4-4.
That's a huge part of a quarterback's game is the ability to extend plays and improvisation, bro.
You're not going to get a perfect pocket on every play. That's an impossible.
Exactly. That's a plus for a quarterback.
Improvise at all. I mean, we all seen the same games last season.
What do you mean?
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure.
I don't know what you watching, Pete.
I don't know what I watched the same games last season. They're on film. Josh Rosen rolls out and completes passes.
Oh, I didn't see that too much.
I
don't remember seeing that too much.
Hey, Pete.
Listen, hang on. In all fairness to Pete, he's correct. He created 53.7% of them. So yeah, he did. He
had some passes. Line, so all of you guys ain't making no sense.
53.7% of his passes. That's what he completed. So he did complete some.
Completion percentage outside the pocket.
Worst in the NFL outside the pocket.
Line, so keep hating.
Bro, I don't hate him.
Listen, Pete, all due respect, homie.
I don't hate him. I hate his tape.
Hey, exactly. Listen, Pete, all due respect, homie, and not just you, but all these Josh Rosen. I really don't understand why y'all are hanging on for dear life for this kid being the possible answer at quarterback. I can't understand it, but it's time at some point, bro. Y'all gotta move on, bro. At some point, man.
Don't put me in a pedigree with anybody else. I already told you what it is. I wanted Rosen to last season.
You've been out here. You said Josh Rosen is the best pocket quarterback. When you said that, bro. When you go out here and say Josh Rosen's the best pocket quarterback on our team, you've lost all credibility with evaluation at that position, bro. I'm sorry, man. And let's look at
the reason. Who was Tua Tagovailoa following in high school to learn how to play quarterback? Let me ask you that question. When they made up
Turn the tape off. Turn the tape off. Turn the tape off.
So I can answer his question. First of all, I saw you in the comments talk about how they're such good friends, bro. They played once in high school, and Tua came off the bench. Tua lived in Hawaii. They weren't these buddy like best friends that. I don't know where you got that at, But at the same time, let's watch Josh Rosen roll out, and let's watch his improvisation because they're fantastic. Look at he even throws the guy in green, bro. Oh, my bad, you're in white. Sorry, I thought.
Oh my god!
What an
god!
Roll out. Look at the ability, bro.
Wow. Oh my god! Wow. No, you didn't, Reason.
Bro.
No, you didn't. Pull that tape out on him. No, you didn't, bro.
You want to know who his number one receiver is right there? A 37-year-old Larry Fitzgerald getting covered by a young, up-and-coming Jair Alexander, a shutdown corner.
Yeah, but you don't have to pass to the strong safety,
bro. With one of the worst offensive line coming against one of the matter of fact, a playoff defense. And if I'm not mistaken, he won this game. He won this game, bro. So what type of tape are you even showing?
Improvisation out of the pocket, bro. I'm showing you.
Run this game, bro. What type of tape are you even showing? This was on.
Get this shit, bro. Get this shit. You try to blame Larry Fitzgerald. Did you watch Larry Fitzgerald last year? And then you try to blame his offensive line. Yo, last I checked, Kyler Murray got not only sacked 49 times last year, but let's talk about this air raid offense that is supposed to really open it up. You want to talk about tape? Air raid offense is what's the number one thing. Routes take way longer to develop in that scheme than they do in any other scheme. Yet, with the same exact offensive line, except they added J.R. Sweezy, who's at best a mediocre guard, what happened? Kyler Murray almost beat the San Francisco 49ers twice. Kyler Murray won the Rookie of the Year last I checked. And now you want to say that this guy has the ability to roll out and complete passes. And what's great is you tried to pin this on 37-year-old Larry Fitzgerald. Dude, Larry Fitzgerald at 38 last year was a very consistent possession receiver. So I don't know what you're talking about. And Josh Rosen, the tape on Josh Rosen. Bro, I'll say it again and I'll repeat it for everyone watching this, okay? And I'll even call you out a little bit. Last time after I dropped you off the stream, you said that was going to be the last time it would ever happen. I'm going to ask you this directly, Pete. What are you going to do, homie? That's what I'm going to ask directly to you. Second thing I'm going to say to you right now is you're going to sit here and die on the Josh Rosen hill, a guy who's not even – bro, I'll repeat it. When you go in any comment section, I don't care whose it is, and you say he's the best pocket quarterback on our team, again, go find me even at the collegiate level where he could climb a pocket like Tua. Go find me even at the collegiate level where he could feel the presence of pressure come from the sides, move up, and even move out and make something happen. Bro, he doesn't have the pocket awareness. He doesn't have the pocket feel. He can't climb a pocket like Tua because he doesn't have the footwork like Tua. So, this is why these people that come out of here, you know what, you want to ask me what tape I'm watching? I'll tell you right now, Pete, I've watched a whole hell of a lot more tape than you. If you can come back to anyone and say that Josh Rosen is the best pocket quarterback on our team. Because that is, dude. Are you watching film with TD, bro? You guys sitting on the same couch watching stuff?
Oh my god!
No, he didn't. No, this dude didn't.
Oh my god!
Reason. Really?
Wow,
man.
Did you watch film and everything's going awry on that one? And I'm gonna holler at you with this, Pete. You know what? I don't even like you on the panel, homie. So peace out. I don't even want you coming around, homie. I know that ain't nothing that's just felt by me either. We'll leave it at that, homie. You don't add nothing to my platform. All you did, I told you 3 times to stop talking over people. You kept trying to talk over people, argue with people. And what's crazy is this was a great discussion with great chemistry, and then you came on and you wanted to argue with people instead of trying to be concise and get over. And then on top of arguing with people and talking over people, you want to make ridiculous statements. Not on my platform. My platform is for educating people, not for miseducating people, bro. And homie, I'll be down there in 2021, 2022 season. I'll be at training camp. I'll be at the regular season. I know said you said on another panel that you do something about it last time I took you off. Well, I just took you off again. So, homie, show me what you're going to do about it besides hitting that dislike. And that's that.
Oh, my God.
Mask off.
No value, homie. no value at all, bro. At all, man. And I've already told multiple people I had to quiet down Jason Sarney when he was on here getting overly passionate about the quarterback position. My platform, this ain't no panel. This is a roundtable discussion. Discussion. You know, you even got Dolphinator who was on this last time. He was cool, calm, and collected, but now he's having to sit here and yell and argue over you because you're just going off on some nonsense. And I'm not having that, man. This ain't that platform. This ain't a Tuesday night panel where people are just here to work people up for views. Nah, man. You're here to educate people and tell people the proper thing. So if you're going to come out here and spew nonsense and misinform and miseducate, go do it on another panel. It ain't happening on mine.
And segue to that, I got a question for y'all panel guys. I want to pick y'all brain because I know y'all watch an interview with Chan Gailey this morning. And reason EM, you could give me the quote, but he stated that he never worked with a left-handed quarterback, and it's going to take some time. Ryan, y'all laughing because y'all know what I'm about to say. It says it's going to take what's the exact words?
Mental gymnastics.
Mental gymnastics. Now, what the hell does he? What do y'all get from that? Is he saying that Tua is going to take some?
I want to say side note. You know, also guys, also realize Pete has admitted in the comments that he has hit the dislike on previous videos.
I didn't know that. But
all right, and Rhino can verify for that too. So, if you're also going to come in here consistently and hit the dislike button, bro, again, you're not even adding a like to this platform. So I ask you, what are you adding? So peace out to you, homie. Hope you enjoy your life, and I'll see you next year if you're really going to do something. Holla at me. Anyways, continue on. And I had a question I wanted to get to, and that nonsense got me away from it. Logan Hampton, why are the Finns think we're going to run a 3-4 base when we have a 4-3 base personnel?
No, I don't think we have a 4-3 base personnel.
Please explain to me. Please explain to me where's the 4-3 personnel? What? Please.
That's what they always say. That's what they always say.
Please define 4-3 personnel.
Well, he might be like a wide dime Jerome Baker still on this team, et cetera, you know.
If you look at I don't get why he said that, because if you look at the our personnel, it's this year with the addition of the players they brought in through free agency and the draft, it screams base 3-4 all day. I mean, I don't know what he's talking about. The only really, I think, in terms of, the only, if you're going to put a label on a player and say he's a 4-3 guy, I would say Jerome Baker. But everyone else on our roster, I mean, you look at the edge players, stand up clearly. Their skill set, and you look at past schemes that Shaq Lawson as well as Emmanuel Ogbah come from. They come from base, 3-4 teams, and they were deployed in a stand-up outside linebacker type role. If you look at Raekwon Davis, look at the schemes that Alabama deploys, very multiple. But Nick Saban's, his base has been a 3-4. So all of these, for the most part, our personnel it fits a base 34. I don't know what he's talking about, with the exception of Jerome Baker.
But why do so many people associate the 4-3 being the set for us? Why does that? Because a lot of people say it,
and I really don't know why. I don't know why. I really don't know why. Because again, now, Brian Flores he's clear on what his approach is. He loves multiplicity. Okay, and he does deploy some. At times he'll deploy that formation at times, but obviously, if you look, where he's come from, and then if you look at the majority of this in terms of base now I know, if you're talking about the majority, the formation that they deployed the most last year was and that's common among all NFL teams in 2020. They base out of a nickel formation, nickel and dime formation, because it's a passing league. But in terms of run formations, this is what they base out of a 34. And if you look at our personnel, it's perfectly suited for a for that format, bro. So I don't understand why people keep saying that.
even the
Even
draft,
the draft, bro.
even the UDFA pool. One of the guys a lot of people are excited about is
Lito Jones,
and he's about as true as a nose tackle as you can get.
Prototypical.
What's good,
So,
Damien?
Look at our
Hey, yo, what's
defensive
up?
What's up, Damon?
What's up,
Damon?
man? I
Man.
didn't know what the show was about. I just heard some crazy stuff about Rosen being the best pocket quarterback for our team, and he's not aware in the pocket.
Oh, bro, it was just
It ain't
basically
accurate.
Basically, Pete came on. I had to tell him, and these guys can all attest. I had to mute him multiple times, and I had to tell him multiple times, "Yo, wait your turn. Like, stop talking over people. Like, let people get ahead with what they want to talk." And then when I finally came to him, he's like, "Well, where do you want me to start?" So I moved on to EM and came back to him. And the thing was, every time he would ask someone a question, every time they tried to reply, next thing you know, that person's having to yell over him because now he's talking through him. And like, you've been on here a few times before, Damien. This is a different atmosphere than what happens on that other platform when multiple people come on, right? Like, I'm not trying to have arguments. Everyone can disagree. Everyone can have their opinions. That's cool. But have a calm, collected, concise discussion. This is why it's called a discussion. It's not called a debate. We're using a different D word in the title. Just click the thumbnail. So, and on top of that, on top of all that, he's even admitted in the comments before he's hit the dislike button, and the dislikes just went up again. Nico's letting us know. So, I mean, we don't need that energy. We don't need that vibe over here, man. That can go be somewhere else, bro.
The only ones that can go at each other's necks are me and Reason. Everybody else, you already know.
Hey, Reason.
Hey,
Reason.
Yeah.
I would trust Fitzpatrick as a pocket passer because he can read a defense.
I agree, bro.
Yeah. Read a defense.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's another thing. I felt like, why are we making a 40 comparison? Because you're taking away from Fitzpatrick's ability to recognize the pocket's collapsing. I got to move up and out of it. And by doing that consistently, he ended up being our top rusher. Does anyone on this round table, because this ain't a panel, it's a round table. Does anyone on this round table truly believe Josh Rosen at any point in his NFL career will lead any team, no matter how good or how bad the offensive line is in rushing?
Hell no. But reason, not only that reason, I trust Fitzpatrick as a pocket passer because he's a pocket savvy type of quarterback. If you look at the film back in the day, when the pressure comes to Fitzpatrick, he's one of the first ones to step up in the pocket and move out and make the deep ball throw. So I don't see Rosen doing that back in the day. He collapse and try to roll out and make an interception or try to make a dumb play. Fitzpatrick is a way better pocket passer than Rosen.
I would agree.
Rosen. Notice if you go back to college, it was this is why another reason why I call Jacob Eason a little bit more of a polished Josh Rosen, because Jacob Eason had this similarity. Jacob Eason, whenever he was forced to shift out of the pocket or whenever pressure came, his completion percentage and his passer rating was almost cut in half. And Josh Rosen, same thing. He's been known when the pressure comes. But I will give Jacob Eason one thing. His passer rating and his ability to passer does dip, but he does stand firm in the pocket and he doesn't look shook. It's just he can't see through the pressure. His brain starts over-calculating, over-processing. I don't know. But Josh Rosen, I mean, I look at him, and I see a guy where when that pressure comes and if you get it early and often, that game's a wrap.
And if Rosen you can say the same. Fitzpatrick, why did I see Fitzpatrick ahead of him when they did the sprints the other day? Is it because he's lazy, or is it because he's just not that fast?
No. Like Havoc said, he had a ham sandwich in his hand.
Yeah, he was eating a sandwich.
He was eating a sandwich. He was eating a sandwich.
Oh my God!
Priorities, guys.
Yeah, he had the priorities.
It's a lunch break. I think he was actually.
Come on, guys.
In all seriousness, because I know he started that. I think he was putting a mask over his face or something.
But you know what, guys? Not only that. I mean, we are talking about Fitzpatrick as a pocket passer. Honestly, I don't want to jump conclusion, but I think Tua is the best pocket passer we have on the team right now.
I agree.
No. Think about it, guys. What did he do in college? If you watch the film, like I said, I'm a big SEC fan. I watch a lot of Tua film. Tua was great in the pocket. People keep thinking Tua is athletic QB. He's not. He's actually a great pocket QB. The dude avoids the pocket all the time when it comes to pressure. He's great in the pocket. It's just that he hasn't proven it in the NFL. But if he proven it this year, I think he's the best pocket quarterback right now in the AFC, period.
No question.
I wanted to say before we ask what Daniel's, because I know Daniel's new here, I just wanted to show you this going off you, Dolphinator. So I know people tried to make the point, and Pete is not alone in this. We've heard it multiple times about the offensive line, all that kind of jazz, et cetera, about, well, they weren't really that good. Well, I mean, don't people wonder about the times that when that line did give him protection? And I present to you Exhibit A. That's not a good read. That's a double coverage.
There's dozens of that.
With the safety over the top, he stepped up. There's no one around him. You're throwing a go route, double coverage. You're throwing a post route, double coverage with the safety on over top of the man. What are you doing? That is a very that shows you right there. I mean, look at the underneath route. Go watch again. Watch the underneath route coming across. It's right there. You just got to wait for him to clear out from the linebacker, and you had the time to make the throw.
And reason he had a running back on the flats too. If you look at the film, look at the running back. He had a running back to check down.
Watch his head, Dolphinator. As soon as it comes up, it's locked on that post.
He can't go through his progression.
And it's on that post. He doesn't even go through his progression.
He doesn't have the twitchiness that Tua has. He doesn't have
He panicked,
he doesn't
guys.
have those instincts and attributes. That's the difference between Tua, Fitzpatrick, and then Rosen. Like you notice, like how Fitzy was our leading rusher. Fitzy has instincts in the pocket. When the pocket breaks down, he's gonna run. Whereas though Rosen would take the damn sack, he wouldn't look to extend the play with his legs. A lot of things, Fitzy wasn't just running for his life. Like when nothing was there, then he would take off and run. He would extend the play. Rosen is not capable of doing that. He doesn't have instincts in the pocket. He doesn't have awareness. He can't go through his progressions quick enough because he can't process. He's just fucking terrible. He was a mistake.
Oh
man! For a top 10 pick, there's no excuses.
Hey, Dolphin 82, you hit it right on the head. He was panicking. Look at his cap in there.
He panicked.
I'll say this: they can't blame EM for all the Rosen hate no more. I tell you, bro.
Hey, EM, I guarantee you, EM, this panel never blamed you for Rosen hater.
Never.
Maybe the others, but the guys on this panel right now never blamed you.
It's always been straight.
For y'all to be grading Rosen, how can you grade someone who was a rookie who went to a bad team and then they come to us and our team is even worse than the team that he just left and he comes to us learning a new offense? You can't judge somebody like that.
Even Troy,
to judge somebody like that.
Even Troy Aikman so flashes on a 1-15 team.
That's what I was going to say. Usually, here's the thing, too. We've also got a guy who now has 16 starts under his belt. He started 13 games in Arizona. And I've said this earlier. I don't know if you were here. Kyler Murray, first of all, Kyler Murray, when he came there, when Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma does not run an air raid offense. He had to learn an NFL playbook with the same exact offensive line, minus they added Sweezy, who I think we can all agree is an average at best left guard. And like I've said, one of the main concepts, and that people don't realize when they say, oh, the air raid, it just stacks up yards. Yeah, well, Kyler Murray was also sacked 49 times. Why? Because it takes air raid is actually, when you go into an air raid scheme, that is the one scheme that has usually the longest routes to develop on a consistent basis. So not only the problem with Kyler Murray is he got basically the same crappy offensive line. He had the same receiving core, Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, et cetera, because I think Hakeem Butler, who they drafted, didn't even end up playing last year. He was hurt.
No, he didn't.
So, yeah, Kenyon Drake didn't really come there till halfway through the season. He had already played Seattle. And what's funny is before Kenyon Drake got there, that was the game. The first time he played Seattle, they barely beat him. And then again, he played San Francisco, they barely beat. Like San Francisco, I go about this all the time. The one thing that stands out to me is Kyler Murray had nothing. And when you combine losses against San Francisco, the combined points are under 10. Like, that's crazy for thinking how. And when you talk about after the Super Bowl, what was the one thing a lot of people asked the San Francisco 49ers, like Nick Bosa and other players on the defense, who was the toughest player or offense you guys played this year? They didn't even say Patrick Mahomes. They said Kyler Murray.
He got to talk to me. He's the best mobile quarterback. Like, me all around mobile quarterback, he the best.
But
so you said the Big 12. Big 12 playing no defense.
He's better than Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, he's better than Lamar. He can make throws that Lamar Jackson still having trouble to make. He can make
he's more accurate.
I think he's a better passer.
Yeah, I think Daniel's right. I think Daniel's right.
I think he has a stronger arm than Lamar Jackson. I think he's a better passer as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with y'all. I'm not disagreeing.
Throws with better anticipation. I've said this multiple times. If I wanted Kyler Murray to be my Dolphin. I didn't care about it because that man flicks his wrist, doesn't even put anything into it, and that ball goes 60 yards, man. And that's on the money, in stride. Like, him and DeAndre Hopkins, I'm telling you, they're building something in Arizona where 2-3 years, Kyler's going to be vying for an MVP. Mark my words, bro.
That's Christian Kirk, too. Christian Kirk, the other dude they got. Christian Kirk is a little monster, too.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing. We haven't been able to – I was talking about this with EM privately, Daniel. We haven't even been able to see what Christian Kirk has been able to be because up until he got Kyler Murray, Josh Rosen included, he'd been suffering from poor quarterback. Here's another thing. Go look at Larry Fitzgerald when Josh Rosen was there and Larry Fitzgerald when – Murray came in. There was a little bit of a surge, and you felt like I really think if Josh Rosen was still there, Fitzgerald probably would have retired this offseason. But I think
I agree.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
Built. That's why he's like, if I stick out 1 or 2 more years, we might even get to like an NFC championship.
I agree.
That's going to be a scary receiving core with Kirk, Fitzgerald, and Hopkins.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Arguably the best in the league.
Kenyon Drake, a full season with Kenyon Drake as well.
Oh yeah, I agree. Daniel, I want to get your thoughts. What do you think about because we haven't had you on before? Glad to have you, brother. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Hopefully you make it more of a regular thing. But what are your thoughts on Tua?
To me, to be honest with you, I heard y'all saying that y'all wanted Tua. Y'all wouldn't mind if Tua started. And the thing with me is, we know that our offensive line was the worst last year, and we know that Tua hasn't even been a year yet since his hip surgery, and this is like a major surgery. Like, we were scared with Drew Brees, when Drew Brees was gonna come, we were scared for him from an arm surgery. So anything can happen to where we're worried about this hip, and it can never be a big thing or a big issue later on in the future. But for right now, release for me, I would for him to at least have a year to where he hasn't had no real football action on his hip, to where at least a solid year. At least to me, a solid year. Then anything else after that, I mean, you can throw him in there, and then at least a solid year. And still, I think we should give Rosen a chance because this would be his 3rd year. Sometimes it takes players, like it took Drew Brees 6 years. People forget. When Drew Brees was with the San Diego Chargers, it literally took him 6 years to get good. Then he left and went to the Saints. And now we know Drew Brees, what we know now. It takes time for some players to grow. Some players don't get it right away. But I don't want us to go to in there right away. Because I still think he's young, and our offensive line is terrible. They're young, and they need to develop. I mean, they really do need to develop. But,
so I'm actually going to go because, you know what, you make a good point about Drew Brees. I just got a few things to add to that. You know, a lot of people also forget Doug Flutie replaced him before Phillip Rivers took over. A lot of people forget that. And number two, and Canadian Football League, holla at you. And number two, I think where Drew Brees became a good quarterback was because of that injury. And people say, what do you mean? And I've talked about this multiple times. If you go look, what's the one thing Drew Brees changed after that injury? He took on Tom House, famous quarterback coach. We talked about this multiple times. He changed his whole throwing motion after that. He has the exact same throwing motion as Hall of Fame Atlanta Brave pitcher Greg Maddux. And that's because Tom House did that. And Tom House then started working with Tom Brady. And that's why Tom Brady became a better passer as well. So I actually think that Drew Brees, that injury was a blessing in disguise for him. I do agree with you. He wasn't reaching the potential he had when he left Purdue. That's for sure. And that's why they moved off of him so quick, right? Because it was actually supposed to be Eli Manning that was supposed to be his heir apparent, right? So and I agree that's a valid point, but you know, at the same time, he really did retool his mechanics and he really did rework his game. So that comes down to the player, and we talked about it on this platform before. You know, we don't know him from a can of paint, so all we got to do what other people say about Josh Rosen. And we've yet to hear he's the first guy on the field and he's the last guy off. And that was one of the intangibles that we really loved about Tua. Like we heard about go beyond the player, about how he's a galvanizer of his teammates. But the one thing was, when you listen to what Trayvon Diggs said in the pre-draft process, he said, I only picked him off about 2 or 3 times my whole time playing scrimmages against him. But I made sure when I picked him off, I let him know because he was a dog in practice, and he let us know us.
So, reason I got you showed proof the other day. Rosen was the last off the field. When Tua let the team off the field, Rosen was the last one behind.
Oh my God!
Reason and Daniel, you said you want Tua to rest for a whole year, right? So we got facts coming out that at least a year. No, I'm not knocking it. Like, this has been a big argument for the last 3-4 months.
I guess that would be like end of November.
That would be my approach too.
Okay. Hey, Reason, I respect y'all. I respect y'all. But let's say you got top doctors, medical facilities saying Tua is perfect. He's good to go. Hip is stronger than ever. He's beating out Fitzpatrick. Interviews coming out. Fitzpatrick say he knows he's a second fiddle. That tells me Tua is grasping the playbook. They don't want to say it. Let's be real, guys. We are football minded guys. Let's be real.
So hold on, I'll just say mine quickly. I'm going to set up the cards here, and I'll let you guys just go off. But my whole thing, Dolphinator, is I've said, subjectively, I don't care if you're injured or not. You could be Trevor Lawrence, you could be Peyton Manning, you could be Tua Tagovailoa. I don't care. You're sitting for a year, and you're getting acclimated to the game speed. You're learning my playbook, backside, front side. Like, you'll wake up and you'll be reciting plays in my playbook, okay? That's the level I'm going to get to. But objectively, you got to take subjective out with these type of things. That's what a lot of people don't do. Objectively, you got to look at what did Flores say last year when he went back to Fitzpatrick. We're going to field the players that give us the best chance to win. And another reason he was saying that was because he realized, like we all realized, the room wanted Fitzpatrick to be the starter. Because that was the sense that, hey, we're trying to win. Because remember the whole talk about tanking last year? Well, Fitzpatrick was showing players in practice that he was the best option. So Flores went back to him. It worked out, whatever. The thing with Tua is, I've said all along, and you can go back to the when the schedule first dropped. EM will remember this. We talked about this. I said, if he's in the whiteboard room impressing everyone, when you show him looks and he's going up there and he's identifying things and he's showing that he's up to par, and then he takes it to the field, and we already agree he's probably going to show he's easily the most athletic of the three. Me and EM have already agreed he's probably going to show that he has the most zip, best touch, and throws the best ball because it's a younger, liver arm than a Fitzpatrick. There's no knock on Fitzpatrick, and he has better touch on every level than Josh Rosen. That's not even a question. He has better anticipation as well. So if he shows all these things objectively, I mean, he could very well start week 1. But my whole stance is I think Fitzpatrick, due to the circumstances of the world, due to 5 years under Chan Gailey, and if you watch Chan Gailey talk about Fitzpatrick today, he was freaking gushing. He said, I love Fitzpatrick as the competitor, the player, and the person, right? I think Fitzpatrick's going to start because he's already acclimated with what Flores wants and expects, with what Chan Gailey wants and expects, with the actual scheme itself, where we were even saying, hey, if you only have 2 preseason games, throw Rosen, throw Ruddick, throw Tua out there because Fitzpatrick doesn't really need the reps because he knows what's expected by that coaching staff in that scheme. So I think Fitzpatrick is probably going to start, but have a very, very short leash. And on the end of that leash is Tua Tagovailoa. That's where I'm at with him.
Yep.
All right, so now, let me say it.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, homie. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Daniel, because he asked me.
All right, so what I'm going to say, Dolphin, is this. First thing, like, y'all really want Fitzpatrick to start for us. We see what Fitzpatrick can do. And you are right, Reason, because Chan Gailey was gushing when he was talking about Fitzpatrick, but that's a relationship. And I don't care about how much heart a person shows. Because I don't want a Rudy on my team. I want somebody that's a Jerry Rice. I want somebody that can play on the team. I don't care about having somebody that's going to show me, oh, he got that effort and heart. I want you to actually produce on the field. Fitzpatrick never showed me that he can produce. When expectations are at the most highest, that's when he crumbles at the most. I don't want that. I want for him to just be a leader and a teacher in the room because they, like, what Chan Gailey said, he was like, well, one thing I do like about Fitzpatrick, he's willing to share his knowledge. He's not selfish and he don't mind giving away the knowledge that he has gained over the experience that he has over the years. So I like that. I hope that we can keep him and he become our quarterback coach. I think Fitzpatrick is a great quarterback coach. But him playing for us, I don't want that. I want to see what the young kid Rosen got. It's develop. Coaches are paid to coach and develop players.
That would have happened last year.
To coach and develop players.
That would have happened last year.
Last year was his opportunity.
You can't blame a troubled team if the whole team is going through turmoil. How can you blame a whole team going on one player?
Because Tua's here now.
Can I just say one thing, Daniel? You got to admit, though, he put the nail in that Patriots dynasty coffin, and then Tannehill in the first round just kicked it 6 feet into the 6-foot hole. But that was Fitzpatrick kind of started the end of that. And I got to say this. I will just say this. The issue is, I think, and a lot of people might agree with this, I think the issue is some people, they've been watching Josh Rosen since UCLA. I think a lot of people really believe that, and I'm included in that, I think Fitzpatrick gives us a better chance right now to win at the NFL level than a Josh Rosen does.
How can you say that, Reason?
Clearly.
How can hold on, guys? I want to know reason. I want to know reason why he says that. I want to explain it. How can you say that, Reason?
Fitzpatrick gives us a better chance to win in an NFL level than Rosen right now.
Yeah. How can you say that? I mean, we all know Fitzpatrick record back in the day. I mean, yeah, he gave us a good half a season. What makes you think he has a better chance to give us another good half a season?
Because,
half a season.
Hold on. Because of how well not only does he know the scheme, but you saw what was the one big difference between why we started finding success when they took Rosen out when Fitzpatrick came in. He started making the proper protection calls pre-snap with his offensive line. Josh Rosen isn't advanced enough for that. Josh Rosen can't even read a disguised defense right now. That's your problem. And when you can't read, listen, Patrick Mahomes just said it took him about a year and a half to start reading this guy's defenses. Why was he able to find success? Not only the talent around him, but again, we go back to his ability to improvise. Because when you improvise to get out of the pocket, what happens? Corners move up off their spot. Move high up off their spot. All of a sudden, the play starts breaking down. Holes start opening up because you have that ability to improvise, and then you can lay them. Like, look at that. Another platform used to go off about the pass to Tyreek Hill last year in the Super Bowl. You know why Tyreek Hill was so wide open and he had no one around him when Patrick Mahomes made that? Because Patrick Mahomes started moving around and started improvising,
and the defense reacted to him.
I'm not knocking y'all. I just want to hear the explanation. That's all.
The difference right now, that's your basic difference right now is just the pre-snap stuff alone, let alone post-snap stuff. They're not even in the same league, and you could call that on to Patrick's football IQ, or you could put that on to his experience, whatever you want to pick. Now, I'll say this too. Tua displayed at Alabama, just comparing UCLA tape from Josh Rosen to Tua tape of Alabama, and what I've seen with Josh Rosen at the pro level, Tua's far better pre-snap. Far better pre-snap. The only thing is, Tua's going to run into the problem that every single rookie quarterback that's ever
speed of the game.
Not only speed of the game, what? Exotic packages that you do not see at the
that he's never seen before.
You can't get away from that. You can't get away from it. It's a matter of how you're going to start reading and recognizing. That's what it's going to come down to. And that comes down to processing. That's when we always talk about. I always talk about one thing you'll always see. Tua was a very, very good processor at the collegiate level. Okay, you might even call him elite. All right. Josh Rosen was an average processor at the collegiate level. So when you add in exotic packages and game speed and looks you're going to see, all of a sudden an average processor becomes a bad processor. An elite processor becomes either a very good processor or a good processor at best when they make that jump. You go down a notch or two because all of a sudden you're playing with the best athletes that play the sport, no longer against 11 players where 8 of them are probably never going to see the draft floor.
And I think reason nobody has I don't think I've heard anybody mention this about Tua, why he's so advanced in terms of the mental aspect of the game. Look who he's facing every day in practice. And I'm not just talking about players. I'm talking about that defensive mind over there in Nick Saban. Yeah. So that has prepared him tremendously. for that next level, for the NFL level. So if Bill Belichick is the best defensive mind in the NFL, we can all agree Nick Saban is the best defensive mind on the collegiate level. So I think go ahead.
Now I was going to piggyback on what you said, EM, because you just made a couple of good points, man, about the defense that Tua went against in college. Nick Saban, disciple of Bill Belichick. And that's what he went against. And also about Fitzpatrick, you got to look at with the comparison with him and Rosen. When they both shared starts and they went back and forth the first half of the season, we were statistically on pace to be the worst team ever. Worst team ever as far as margin of victory. Fitzpatrick started that second half of the season every game. We ended with a 5-4 record. That's one game over 500 in that second half of the season. He showed leadership and took scrubs.
Let me add to you. He also finished with the 8th best QBR in the NFL.
Yes, he did.
Man, bro, I think it's a major part too. Devontae Parker took a different step, and Fitzpatrick was just throwing the ball in the air. Let's keep it real.
Hey,
no, that's an actor, bro. That's an actor, bro.
If that's the case, why couldn't Rosen do it then? Why couldn't Rosen just throw the ball in there?
Exactly. Thank you.
I know, right? I would say that Fitz got more experience. I give Fitz more experience, but he was literally throwing, like, you look at the games that we won, Indianapolis Colts.
My brother,
have to do to beat them? Who is their quarterback?
My brother, we gotta realize we
Brian
can't
Hoyer
keep on turning Cleo Lemons and John Becks into starting quarterbacks. That's what we try and do with Josh Rosen. He's a Cleo Lemon, a John Beck, a Chad Henne. Yes, he is. Otherwise,
the only thing y'all can really
he got picked number 10 because the team made a mistake.
Okay. So I got a question, EM. I got EM. Reason left. What EM? Like what? Reason prove his point about breaking down the schematics, the defenses and whatnot. For instance, we 3 weeks into training camp. You two, Havoc. I want to hear your point of view. 3 weeks and a half training camp. Tua's balling out. Tua's beating Fitzpatrick. Are y'all still going to use that? Schematics can't breaking down the defense.
Can I please answer this?
No, hold on, Rhino. No, I just want to hear from Ian Havoc first because I know the schematics and the breaking down of the defense and all that. That's what they do. They live and study this crap. Me, I'm just a novice person, but I want to hear from them first. Tua's balling out. He's balling out, tearing the asshole out of freaking goddamn Fitzpatrick every day, day in and day out. Day in and day out. All of a sudden, week one comes out. All of a sudden, week one comes out. Is that schematic breaking down defense and all that in-depth crap is going to worth it if he balled out versus goddamn Fitzpatrick? Yes or no?
Well,
come on now, guys. You the expert. I want to hear it.
Hang on. Well, I'm no expert, but listen. So I remain consistent. My approach, I think the ideal approach with Tua, number one, I think Fitzpatrick, based off the season he had last year, I think he earned the right to be the starter week one.
Leader of the team.
Okay, leader of the team. That's his locker room now. That's his. I know everybody's glowing about Tua Tagovailoa, but that's Fitzpatrick's locker room. So I think he has a respect of the team, the coaching staff, the entire organization. He should be, in my opinion, based off his play the second half of the season last year, he should be starter week one. But I'm consistent now. We have the tape to prove it. I also said that I fully anticipate Tua Tagovailoa, once we got to training camp, Tua to separate himself in terms of his talent level. And the only thing with Tua, the two obstacles facing him was grasping a playbook, like Reason referenced earlier about the whiteboard, and the speed of the game. Once Tua got acclimated in those two areas, I would still, in my opinion, err on the side of caution in terms of his implementation because of the nature of that injury. I still would rather wait closer to a year, and I somewhat agree with the gentleman that I forget his name, but who said that earlier. I will agree with him in that aspect, Daniel. I would just feel much better if he was a year removed from that injury. But the tape, we saw on film, we saw on Twitter, we saw on all these social media platforms how he's out there pulling sleds, he's out there running. He has no limitations.
Can I pause you for a minute?
Go ahead.
You do know that you're going against Flores, the Leaf. The best man goes on the field.
Hang on. I agree. Listen, hang on. Let me finish. But I will say this: I'm comfortable with either scenario. Yeah. Now, especially after I saw the video of him pulling sleds. Now, I was like, oh, okay. Well, that kind of made me kind of pull that in a little bit. But if Tua, and I fully anticipate Tua to separate himself at some point. It's obvious. It's again.
I think he already done it.
Then why did Fitz that start last year? If that's the best man to start, why did Fitz start last year over Rosen when Rosen had a better preseason?
Yeah.
All right.
Vanilla defense.
That's a fair point.
Well,
that's a fair point, Rhino.
That one.
That's the
Go ahead, Ty.
That's debatable about Rosen having a better preseason. That's debatable.
It was said.
Hey, can I answer that one?
Go ahead, Ty.
Go ahead.
Fitzpatrick came in out of shape, number one. Number two,
that's what I think.
Rosen was going against second stringers vanilla defense.
Yeah,
but the
confidence.
But the reports
was right there with them.
Guys, even Jake Ruddock looked good last year in the preseason.
Right.
There you go.
Exactly.
So y'all really trust an offensive line to go in with no preseason, no live action, because you're not really going full. You're not going full at practice.
That's
People
right.
forget this is practice.
Yeah.
This is training camp. You're not going live. Y'all would trust putting Tua in live game action on an offensive line that's brand new that hasn't had no live action.
I get you, Daniel.
Oh, I agree.
Daniel, I agree.
The problem is A, it's not about what we're comfortable with, and B, the people that it is or isn't going to be comfortable with because of this like media blackout due to COVID, they're going to be the only ones who actually know, because we're not even really be getting because there's no tweeting or anything allowed from practice. So we're not even going to be getting live videos. We're only going to be getting clips of what they want to show us. So we're in the season. We're in a unique situation in a season that's unlike other, where we have to lean and trust on our coach's opinions more than ever.
Right.
So,
and y'all talk about Flores, he think like Bill Belichick, where he keep his mouth shut. He'll give us false information and lead us astray. Like, I like that about him, though. I do like that.
But my thing is that there's only so many snaps and so much time during the preseason. You have to ask yourself as a coach, do I invest my time in a guy that's given his blood and his soul and his effort last year in Fitzpatrick and our future quarterback, or the guy who we gave a chance last year and pooped the bed? So you have to decide, who am I going to invest my time in? That's my question.
You know what, guys? Honestly, hold on. I'd rather see Tua now. And I'm not going to knock Tua. Like I said, I watched Tua since college. I'm sold on him. But just in case, let's put my hat on a Tua hater hat. I want to see Tua in game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. See what I have to determine if I need another quarterback next year. Because if you put Tua next year, you just wasted a whole year of trying to determine a quarterback. You just push your
Well, I'm gonna push back a little bit at that point. I think you can get a firm evaluation on a player without putting him in it, without him, being in a live game type situation. Flores was consistent about that last year, even with Josh Rosen. He played 3 games last year. They knew what they had. They knew exactly what they had, and they opted to move off of him. So
exactly, but exactly what I said. I want to see Tua in first game and second, third game.
You're
first
not
3 games.
Him missing the whole year. You're talking about the first. You're not talking about Tua missing the whole year. You're talking about a year from injury days.
November, around November.
Exactly. Right around November. I'm not saying sit Tua for a year by any stretch. No, I want to see him on the field as well. I just would feel so much better if he was closer to that year mark in terms of his recovery.
That's
from that
week
injury.
6, week 9, week 6.
Exactly. I think that would be the ideal scenario.
That's my apology. I thought you wanted to sit Tua for the whole year.
Oh no! I'm sorry. I didn't. Maybe I didn't clarify. I'm sorry. No, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, I think it's just interesting to note that just because Tua is the most talented doesn't mean he'll be the most productive behind this particular offensive line. So we already understand that he can Fitzpatrick can turn a bad situation into a serviceable situation, and we are not sure what our offensive line is going to look like against live action. Now the Patriots defensive line, let's be honest, is not much of a test, but we do have to understand that we do want to get some sort of an impression about what our O-line can and cannot do. And I'll say it again, just because Tua is the most talented quarterback doesn't mean he'll be the most productive right away. Doesn't mean he won't be the most. Doesn't mean he's not the guy for the future moving forward. But week 1 versus the New England Patriots, he may not be the most. He may not be the best choice from a productivity standpoint in terms of overcoming an offensive line that at times may struggle.
100%.
Are we not? We talk about. We sit up here all year long. Well, since the season was over with, all off season, about how we were so excited about the improvement we saw as a team overall the second half of the season. Well, guess what? That offensive line was a part of that team, bro. So are we shortchanging the improvement we saw up front? And I got to shout out to Sharif because he brought this up, some months back. I got to give him credit. Are we as a fan base not giving enough credit to the offensive line as a whole?
What about Fitzpatrick being part of that?
I mean, right now
that as well. Yeah.
Making the right call.
Sitting here now.
I think it was more Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I think it was a lot.
What I mean is,
but look, they still have to block. They still have to block.
But
you still got to block a guy.
What was the 100-yard rusher that you had? Tell me the 100-yard rusher. The 100-yard rush we had, the 100-yard rushing game we had.
No, I'm talking about from a pass
No.
protection standpoint.
Right,
Obviously, we know the running game was non-existent last year.
EM, that was all.
One easy thing to do.
EM, that was all Fitzpatrick, bro. That was all Fitzpatrick, man.
But listen. They still had to block, even if Fitzpatrick is making the proper pre-snap protection.
The right calls. The right calls.
They still have to block.
That's
right.
Yeah,
EM, bro.
Listen. I'm not saying our offensive line look like the freaking, San Francisco 49ers offense. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm
serviceable.
saying is we saw incremental improvement.
Not serviceable.
I'm just asking the question. Are we not giving enough credit to our offensive line as a whole? Just like we're crediting our team, the second half improvement we saw. Are we not giving enough credit to the guys up front?
I think we have to understand that your offensive line gets evaluated as how they operate as a team, right? You don't necessarily, although there are metrics to track individual offensive linemen. It's about how they perform as a unit. That we do not know. So,
is that Mahomes? Hold on. Is that Mahomes?
That's Lamar Jackson.
Oh, Jackson. Okay, that's fine. I like that. That's nice.
Like I said, the O-line gets evaluated as a total unit, and in order for a total unit to be successful, you need chemistry. You need to understand that. In certain situations, I know what this guy is going to do in this situation. I know what latitudes, I know what freedoms I can take because I know the guy next to me. We don't have that built up yet. So I'm not saying it's not going to come. I'm saying we don't know when it's going to come.
I don't know. I'll have
is our best off the line. How good do I think Jesse Davis is on the offensive line? How good is Jesse Davis?
Not good.
He's not good.
I would say he's an average player.
We moving him to center. This is how average he is.
No, they're not.
Nah, hey. Daniel.
That's incorrect.
Daniel, calm down. Daniel, calm down. You're reading too much beat reporters. We are not moving in the center.
No. They're not moving in the center.
Yeah, you read.
He said himself he was practicing doing center.
Daniel. What they're doing is they're cross-training him to be multiple positions just in case. Listen, you got to read in depth when it comes to these articles. These beat reporters will do anything for you to clickbait. They're training him to be cross-dimensional. Daniel Davis is the most cross-dimensional lineman we have right now.
He said it in his own interview.
Right, but what he's saying is, listen. That's a requirement of every player on this roster to be interchangeable, to be multiple, to be versatile. That's a requirement for every player.
But he said he was playing center because there wasn't enough centers to play that day, and it was just a walkthrough.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you can't feed on that. Our centers are Karras and Dieter.
Exactly. They weren't there.
Daniel. Hold on. Listen here, bro. Daniel and Dieter Karras and Dieter is our offensive lineman for center right now. As of right now. Now, if one of those guys go down, they may throw him into center. But I do not see that guy starting center or even a backup as the season starts. He's training to be that. No. And right now, he's trying to take the leadership role as an offensive lineman. So therefore, he's going to tell you all the stuff he needs to tell you.
We also got
He's reading books too. He's reading books, the leadership books and things like that. I watched the interview and I heard what he said. He said he's reading leadership books and he said he's learning. He's doing position to be a center. I'm just saying this. Basically, the reason I said that is because he was a right guard and a right tackle, and he's not playing none of the positions that he was initially brought in. That's how bad he was. We said forget that. We drafted these dudes. Let's just move him over to the center just to get
Daniel, that's being ignorant. Just because you was drafted to be a position doesn't mean you're not going to be a great player in the NFL. Look at Eric Flowers. Eric Flowers was drafted as a left tackle, and he was the worst left tackle in the last 5-6 years of my life. Now he went to guard. Hold on. Oh, let me finish. Hold on. He played a guard, and he went from the worst left tackle in 1 year to be a good to decent guard. To that, in the fact that we gave him a 3-year contract. So you can't judge a lineman from where he drafted at. You can't.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the offensive line. I don't want my offensive lineman to be smooth from right tackle to right guard and get suspended because he's not good enough to keep a spot at one position. If he was good enough to keep a spot at a position, we wouldn't be.
Daniel, I got a question.
About
Daniel,
Jesse Davis.
I got a question. So Robert Hunt was drafted. Everybody saying he's playing right tackle. If he don't work out as right tackle, he's a bum. If he moves to right guard and make a great freaking Pro Bowl right guard, is he a bum?
No, I'm saying if the offensive line is constantly getting moved on the offensive line, then yes. If he's constantly, so that's just like me saying, oh, I got this start wide receiver, but I want to keep putting him in the slot and putting him in as a running back, a flat back, so a scout back. So Daniel, you're thinking the glass half full.
You're not thinking that this guy is so freaking multi-dimensional that he can move to every position. You're thinking the glass half full.
Well, there's a couple
things.
Jesse Davis played 16 games last year at right tackle.
His natural position is a right guard, and they asked him to be a right tackle because they didn't have anyone else that could fill that. Another thing, too, is look at Dieter, what are they doing? They're also cross-training him now at center as well. But people seem to be forgetting. Look at Donnell Stanley, the UDFA we got from the South Carolina Gamecocks. What is he? He's a center, but he also plays guard. That's it. If you look at the offensive line or the defensive line, one thing they preach is versatility. You've got to be able to, this is why when we were talking about people wanting to waste a top 5, well, not waste, but use a top 5 pick on Chase Young, we were saying schematically for what we ask defensive ends in our scheme to do, Chase Young has never once been asked to fulfill those responsibilities. And all they're doing, Scott Marshall, our offensive line coach, he did highlight Jesse Davis today again, and he said, and it's basically by default, this guy has turned into one of our most experienced guys in that room. When you look at the starting 5, Julian Davenport's not going to crack that. He's not going to beat out Austin Jackson. Eric Flowers, Ted Karras, and Jesse Davis are the guys who they project are 3 interior guys because we've talked about this earlier. They want. It's clearly obvious and evident they want Robert Hunt to win that right tackle job. Okay,
reason. They're pushing him.
Hold on a sec. And you look at all the experience, it's only in on that interior. So that's why why was Scott Marshall saying they're going to lead? And EM probably already knows the answer to this. Why were they basically hinting towards they're going to lead on Jesse Davis to be a leader? Why? Because he's played 16 games at right tackle, and they project him to line up at right guard next to a rookie tackle. So for that tackle to feed off of than a right guard, a natural right guard, because Jesse Davis was out of position last year, a natural right guard who also has gone through the hills, valleys, and peaks of playing right tackle for 16 games in the NFL.
They're putting Jesse Davis next to Hunt on the start.
This is one of the reasons why I wanted Larry Warford when the Saints got rid of him, because I was saying if Robert Hunt is going to be that right tackle, you got the option right now to go out and put a guy coming off 3 straight Pro Bowls at right guard, and he can play next. Because, I'm going to tell you right now, especially pre-snap, when protections are changed, there's going to be times where Robert Hunt and Austin Jackson are going to be leaning on the guys next to him. Austin Jackson with Eric Flowers and Hunt with Davis. That what the hell do I do?
Yep.
And then
I think Solomon Kinley gonna be starting though. To be honest with you, I think Solomon Kinley is better than Jesse Davis right now. To be honest.
Yeah, but
no, dude.
All right, Todd.
One thing that I think we
gotta get back to work. Talk to y'all later.
Right.
Great show.
All right,
Todd. I'll be good, bro.
One thing we gotta realize too.
See, you're looking at him being him being versatile and his ability to play multiple positions, you're looking at it as a negative. That's a positive, bro.
Swingman.
Thank you.
That's a positive.
He looking at the glass half full, man.
I don't understand.
I like a swingman when they a rotational guy when the guys get tired, not a starter. Or somebody
No.
Not a true starter on the online.
What? Go ahead, EM. Go ahead, brother.
No, you go ahead, You go ahead, homie.
I just got one quick thing. One thing we got to realize, though, with our coaching staff from Flores, even the Greer where he cut his teeth at in New England, all their linemen has been versatile, even going back to Damian Woody from guard to center. They want you to be versatile. That's the team we're morphing into, even on D. Exactly.
We're lucky to have Jesse Davis.
I agree.
We're not lucky, Rhino.
They
We
want
are
you to
great.
play multiple positions, even on defense. I heard Reason talk about earlier. Our base is 3-4, but we're gonna morph into whatever team we play that week. That's the type of team we're gonna morph into defensively. Same thing offensively. We're gonna attack a team defensively on what the weakness is. That's how that's the team we are. Not trying to say we're copying off New England, but our coach, our GM, our head coach.
We are copying New England. We are copying. No, let's get it out of the way, guys. We are copying New England.
We are.
Listen, and we should. I don't know why people get offended by that.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm not. To cheat to win.
I don't know.
We're cheaters. We're cheaters.
We're
I
cheating.
don't know why that's so offensive.
We are cheating legally.
Years.
I don't mind.
20 years.
I don't mind it. Hey, if it brings us a Super Bowl, hey guys, if it brings us a Super Bowl, I'm good with it. Shoot, I'm good with it.
Look at us when we had Parcells running our team. We found different ways to win games with Chad Pittman as our quarterback from the Wildcat and everything.
And he's a grandfather.
Under the Parcells. Thank you, Ian.
Exactly. He's a grandfather.
That's what type of team we're going to have.
Well, you know what I was going to say, Damian? Look at this. Look at it this way. You could probably, I guess you could use the Tebow argument, but that Denver team was way more talented than last year. You could make the argument that, well, it's not an argument on the first part. Belichick's the most successful to come from the Parcells tree. So far, only Josh McDaniels has had a more successful season.
The Houston coach
than Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien is the worst decision maker of
as a GM, homie.
Reason, don't forget. Hey, Reason, don't forget. Sean Payton came out from under that tree as well.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Don't forget.
I did forget that too. But Bill O'Brien, bro.
He's a terrible GM. We want Bill O'Brien to be Bill O'Brien. No reason.
But what's he doing? But when you're a coach and GM, all you're cutting out is that walk up the stairs. You're still the coach making GM decisions based on your coach evaluation.
Has O'Brien won a playoff game? Has O'Brien won a playoff game?
Yeah, they won one last year. Round.
Okay. Well, there you go. They're tied there.
Well, no, Josh Allen.
He's been in the playoffs the last 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years in a row now.
And now they're an injury to Tunsil or Watson away from us getting a top 5 pick.
Hey, I agree with you, EM.
3 consecutive years.
3 years. 3 years. EM, 3 years. But the man made the worst freaking goddamn decision when it comes to trading for the last 2 goddamn players. Hopkins and our left tackle. He made the worst trade in NFL history.
Listen.
But anyways, where I'm going with that, Ian, my point wasn't about Sean Payton. My point was, if you look at the tree, Parcells, Belichick is Payton, whatever. Belichick is far and away the best to come. Definitely. And what I'm saying is now the Belichick tree, but now I'm talking about the Belichick tree.
Yeah.
So you look at the Belichick tree at an NFL level, though. At an NFL level, it's going to be either Josh McDaniels' season with Tim Tebow, or it's going to be Brian Flores working magic, or it's going to be Bill O'Brien 3 straight years with all that talent, and you can't do Jack Bo Diddley, and you trade it all away and pay a left tackle too much money.
You also have you also have the coach of the New York Giants as well. He coached under Belichick, his entire career. and he's now the
Yeah,
head coach.
I think John's gonna be on the clock,
no
man.
resume for it. He got no real resume.
I'm telling you right now, Flores, to me, Bill O'Brien is not winning a Super Bowl in Houston. Bank it. I'll go out on a record and say right now, Deshaun Watson probably doesn't even sign an extension there. Bank it.
I agree with you on that reason.
Okay, so that's a wrap.
I agree with you on that.
So that's a wrap. So then I think for McDaniels, he's not going to be able to win a Super Bowl as a head coach till Belichick retires because he's waiting around till he's the heir apparent. Okay, that's clearly obvious especially after what he did to Indianapolis a couple years ago. I don't even know if a team's going to even run the risk of lining them up. And then Flores, to me, with the core that we're building, the culture we're building, he looks like the only one out of the Belichick tree that actually might come back with at least an AFC championship.
Well, I don't understand all the hate for Bill O'Brien. I get a lot of people don't like him. He's
stupid.
Hey, listen.
It's a terrible GM.
Listen. I'm being objective.
I'm just joking.
Listen. I'm being totally objective. All I'm judging that man by is what he's done for his tenure in the Texans. He's got him to the playoffs 3 years in a row, and he's brought in a lot of talented players in that roster as well.
And he lost.
The only thing he hadn't gotten right is the offensive line. For the most part.
Bill O'Brien.
I don't get that.
The key word, he brought them in, but he also showed them to the door too.
But listen. Look at this. Look at that situation from this standpoint. Okay, you've got your quarterback coming up, right? You've got a left tackle. You got a left tackle that you have to pay. And DeAndre Hopkins, they had already given him a massive deal. He wanted to tear that contract up, and he wanted a new one. So what do you got these three issues, pending issues, right? What do you expect the man? Now I get in terms of what he traded him for, but look, if you look at things from the Arizona Cardinals perspective, this was all front page news. They had all the leverage in terms of the negotiations.
I can make a counter argument though.
So it's either you're gonna let him walk for nothing, you're either gonna let him walk for nothing, or you're gonna trade him for what you can get for him. They got
Watson wanted out. Hold up. Watson, the receiver wanted Hopkins wanted out. That's why he was playing hardball.
Hopkins wanted out. And two, you just said let him go for nothing. He traded him for nothing.
Yeah, he was.
So he was in the loss.
Barely good. Barely getting nothing. He got barely good. Who he got to pay?
What do you do? What do you do when a player is screaming, is giving you that? Because you can foresee the issues that were going to come if he remained on that roster.
But
what
O'Brien,
do you expect him to do?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that O'Brien created the environment to where Hopkins said, "The hell with you, bro. I have to go." That's my argument.
Also, the Jets got 2 first-round picks for Adams. You telling me you can't get 2 for Hopkins?
Come on, man.
You know that
you could have.
Look what we did with Mika Fitzpatrick. Look what we did with Mika Fitzpatrick.
You know they tried.
No, they didn't.
Havoc. Never mind 2. You couldn't get 1.
Havoc.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Havoc. Ian. Bill O'Brien had a hatred for.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien put that man on a trade block initially now. And all he was requiring for the trade was a second-round pick. He needs to be fired. He should have been fired right then and there for that. But I'm sure. But listen, the Cardinals had all the leverage in terms of negotiations. Everybody knew he wanted out. Everybody knew that. So what do you expect the man to do?
But he was still on the contract.
And hold on, didn't from what I understand too, the Philadelphia Eagles came out and they said they didn't even know he was on the market.
Yeah, something like that.
And the Philadelphia Eagles are like the most quarterback needy team in the NFL, and I was like, "How did you make that move, man?"
You know something as well.
He reached out to the Cardinals personally.
Hey, you
would have got him in another division. You would have got him in another division, EM. You know damn well they would have given because they were dangling a couple firsts for Jalen Ramsey when he was on the market. You know, and they gave up what they gave up for Darius Slay. You know damn well for Carson Wentz because of the investment in Nick Foles, you could have got a first out of the new. That's why the Eagles are so shocked that they weren't even let in on negotiations. You could have got.
And also, bro, they needed his contract to come off the books, so they had to pay Larry Thompson. So people are not taking that into account.
I
They
mean-
need his salary to come off the books in order to pay Larry Tunsil.
The problem is too, EM. Like, I really believe if he had created a good enough culture,
I agree. That's legitimate. That's
I'm not just
legitimate.
saying DeAndre Hopkins. I think if he would have found a culture, Clowney would have found a way to make himself fit in.
Yeah.
Because when you go back to what they had with Clowney, there too, and Hopkins was there, and then Lamar Miller was there. Because when they took Lamar from us, they actually made Lamar at the time. Lamar became a top 5 paid running back in the NFL at the time when they brought him in.
Yeah.
So they were actually building something. Then Clowney left, and here's the thing. Let me ask you this, EM. As a fan, what would you rather watch? Would you rather watch, and take bias out of it, would you rather watch Deshaun Watson, Jadeveon Clowney, J.J. Watt, even Brian McKinney, let's go DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller when he's healthy, Lamar Miller, would you want to watch all those guys get into the first round or get knocked out in the second round? Or that's the best you get out of it? Would you actually rather be in a situation where you're building a core, the coach looks like he has his ish together, you actually have a GM? Because another thing people realize, when one person's a GM and a coach, there's no one reporting on that coach saying, yo, he's deficient in this area, this area, this area. This is why we may have to look to replace him. He basically protects it. It comes up to the president. Basically.
But damn, them names you just, bro, that's a lot of talent, bro.
What you get out of it? It's already starting to fall apart, and your best second round berth. That's nothing.
I hear you. I get it. I hear you. But you got to look at you have a young developing quarterback. Okay, you took them forever to get the quarterback right. They finally got that right. Deshaun Watson is still a player in development. So who's to say? Who's to say if you would have kept all of that talent and Deshaun Watson improves and his game elevates? You mean to tell me that with that talent, you don't think
I don't think it's done extent.
I can barely. What's that noise, bro? I can barely hear you, homie.
Someone's walking. Yeah, I think he's just walking. I think.
Okay.
I think. I don't think he's going to be around for you to see that ascent. I think he's going to go. I think it's going to be the opposite of luck. He's not going to retire. But if you remember when Peyton Manning made his little tour, he came to Miami, Denver, all those spots. Remember what he said? What the one thing he was, because we can all agree, Deshaun Watson's taking a little bit of a beat. Okay, what's the one thing Peyton Manning? What was the one thing Peyton Manning said was the difference between Denver and every other team? The offensive line. Wow. And I think that's going to be the decision. I think Deshaun Watson is going to. I think he's clear. I mean, he took. You remember, EM, when we reported on it, he took to Twitter after DeAndre Hopkins got traded. He clearly was not happy about that. All right. And here's the thing: you've replaced him with Brandon Cooks, a guy who's going to be on IR by week 8 or week 9.
But all fairness to him, he is a 1,000-yard receiver.
Oh,
multiple 1,000-yard receiver
for sure. A couple years ago,
can't stay on the field though.
Kenny Stills. Kenny Stills.
When is Watson's contract up, Reason?
Who?
When is his Deshaun Watson? Yeah, when is his contract up?
I think it's after next year.
After next year. I really,
because I read a report a couple weeks ago that the Texans want to start talking an extension with him.
I hope he doesn't go to New England.
I think they already started. Reason.
You know where he's going to go?
New England.
No.
Houston.
Where?
Indianapolis.
Where reason?
Indianapolis.
You think so? Wow.
Receiving core, running game, and you got that offensive line, and they got a really good defense. If they get a Deshaun Watson, they will all of a sudden, that AFC South, it's not even a question of whose division.
And they're indoors too.
Watson is a free agent 2022.
Yeah, so after next year.
That's gonna have to be a 3 or 4 first round price tag for them to pull that off, bro.
It's worth it.
What they're in a position, if you look at the end of 2022, Rivers will be gone.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be in a position where they can afford to pony up that kind of capital because they'll be in a win now mode. Their windows the next 5 years. They just got to get that quarterback position right. They get that quarterback position right, and they're scary. Especially people sleep on how good that receiving core is too. As long as Ty stays healthy, you've added Michael Pittman, and Michael Pittman starts.
But reason. That's a big if, man. That's a big if. Ty cannot stay healthy, bro.
Yeah, no.
That's a big if.
I mean, they still was in games last year with Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack.
And now they got Jonathan Taylor. Look at their running game, Mack and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
I think Jonathan Taylor's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I said this when he got drafted by Indianapolis. Behind that offensive line, a guy who has the most 200-plus rushing yard games at the collegiate level. But he's legit, man. The guy had more 200-yard rushing games than Ricky Williams, bro.
You know what team you forgetting about, Reason? How about Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh has a solid line.
Yeah,
Big Ben is at the end.
They were inquiring about Josh Rosen last year.
Defense, running game, young receivers,
head coach,
good front.
I think he's better off going to Pittsburgh.
No, I don't think Deshaun ain't going nowhere, bro.
No, but but here's the thing.
I think he is.
Not until O'Brien ship him off fourth round.
I just played in Houston. My hope. Where did you play? You played at Clemson in your collegiate level. Now you've played at Houston. Where are you going to want to go? Outdoors in Pittsburgh or to Indianapolis where you can retract the roof when it gets cold out?
But Manuel Rivera in the chat asks, why wouldn't they place the franchise on him?
They'll trade. They can trade. He can say, "I'm not going to sign it," refuse, and then they're forced to trade him.
Okay.
Like if he actually follows through instead of Dak Prescott.
You really think Deshaun Watson wants out that bad? You really think he's gonna?
I think.
You know why I think he'll. You know why
after Hopkins?
No, you know why? Well, yeah, but you know why I think he'd actually have the balls to sit out too. Because he would be in the same position as Le'Veon Bell. Why did Le'Veon Bell sit out? Because I know you're going to give me the ball 300 times. His position is going to be, you're going to make me snap the ball and drop back 300 or 400 times behind one offensive lineman, and I'm going to be on a franchise tag year where I know we're probably not going to a Super Bowl. Good luck. Pay me.
Good point, Reason. Good point.
I'd rather my body gets healthy. I don't sign your franchise tag, and I force you to trade me, man. Because quarterbacks hold more leverage than anyone. It's just who's going to actually pull the leverage.
I don't see him going anywhere. I'll be shocked if he.
EM, you really think he's going to stay with O'Brien after what happened this year?
O'Brien might not be there.
Well, I look at it like this.
He's a winner at the collegiate level. Now he's used to losing, bro.
Is O'Brien in Gase category?
He's been in the playoffs 2 years.
That ain't winning. That ain't winning.
O'Brien better than Gase.
I mean, Tom Brady don't win the Super Bowl every year. You got to get to at least get to the playoffs.
But reason O'Brien does not have good relationship with his players, bro.
That's like Gase.
Yeah, we went over.
He doesn't. That's a culture right there, man.
But the thing is, he's getting the difference between him and Adam Gase is he's getting production.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, production is all that matters. I don't give a damn about him being friends with this player or not friends with that player. Production. What are you doing on the field? And Bill Belichick is like that. When players leave and they go to different teams, when those players are interviewed, they have nothing but negative. I'm not going to say they go all in on Bill Belichick, but they do take shots at him.
Yeah,
everybody does not get along with him. Notion about you have to be friends and everybody has to be. Everybody has to go to dinner after work, bro. It's ridiculous.
I understand you say production. I understand, but you're talking Belichick and Patriots in the same sentence as Texans. When is the Texans pass the first round?
No. We haven't been to playoffs in 20 damn years, bro.
No, what I'm trying to say is
what he's saying, Ian. What he's basically saying is players will put up with that kind of crap when you're under Belichick and Super Bowls or going to AFC Championship.
Exactly.
The problem with Bill O'Brien, and you know what it is? This actually goes to a back school from before I was in college, high school. I had my offensive line coach walk up to me. He wasn't happy with me. He took the football, held it, and he smashed it off my helmet. And we were having a bad season, particularly my O-line sucked balls. And, bro, I walked off that field. And, like, I was raging. I came back, and I let the head coach know, yo, what is this guy? First of all, no teacher is supposed to be hitting the kid with a ball. I don't know who this guy thinks.
Yeah.
Second of all, this guy's not good enough to be over here treating me like that in front of dude, I'm in front of the first string offense. You're doing that to me, bro. You're stopping me before I snap the ball. You're walking up to me and doing that, bro. Bro, I lost it, bro. Only time I ever lost it in a coach, whether it was rep. I used to play touch in the summer too, whether it was high school or whether it was at the collegiate level. The only time I ever snapped was when this guy wasn't doing his job well, came up there and tried to play a little rough and tough, bad cop, good cop type thing with me. Bro, it didn't fly with me, bro. It was Bill Belichick, and I knew, hey, I bought mine. I'm going to at least an AFC championship this year. Yes, sir. Can I please have another? You know what I'm saying? Like
But you got to look at it. But you got to look at it from this standpoint, and that's legitimate. You know, and I agree with that 100%. But you can't just. I mean, the guy's been in the playoffs 3 years in a row, man. I mean,
I got a question for you, Em.
Go ahead.
I got a question for you about the statement you just made. Question: when it comes to O'Brien and Gase, you talk about production with O'Brien. Do we can we all agree that Hopkins is top 5 receiver?
Yeah.
And can we agree that Deshaun Watson arguably is a top 5 quarterback, definitely top 10?
Yeah, I'll say top 10.
And J.J. Watt 2 years ago, top 5, definitely top 10 defensive end.
4 years ago, about 4 years.
But can we agree that J.J. Watt still is productive at rushing the pass?
Yeah.
Okay.
And 4 years ago,
Jadeveon Clowney, when healthy, exactly. And Jadeveon Clowney is disruptive.
Yeah.
You know, so well, goddamn. How much deduction coaching is it on the coach, or is it the players are that productive? I mean, even Gates.
You know, but listen. In terms of acquiring talent in Houston, for the most part, Bill O'Brien has got everything right except the offensive line. He's got he's brought Pro Bowl caliber talent on all levels of his team except the offensive line. And
but it's coaching, though.
That's been his Achilles heel.
Look at last year against Kansas City.
Their offensive line, bro, it's like their offensive line is not much better than ours. Well, before they got Tunsil, they were the worst offensive line in 30 years of the last last 30 years. You know what I mean? So, but again, I just think if you look at his ability to, he's getting his team at least to the dance. He's acquiring. He's shown that he can evaluate. I'm talking. Well, I mean the playoffs. He's shown that he can evaluate and acquire and develop talent. Those are, bro. That's two huge, responsibilities of a coach.
But
so
Ian,
I'm saying I get he might not be the best coach to get along with. I get that.
I think you're giving them too much credit.
The Bengals just making the playoff and wasn't doing anything. Was that successful? When Marvin Lewis was trying to win things, or when the Cincinnati Bengals making the playoffs when they wasn't winning, would you consider that successful? Even if
Marvin
you
Lewis
just go to the playoff and not doing anything.
Let's ask him this, Daniel. Okay, because I got a good question. Kind of goes off what you're saying, and I will add this: I really truly believe if Carson Palmer didn't take that injury against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs, they would have won.
I agree.
They'd have won the Super Bowl.
Anyway,
I'm not gonna say they would have won. They would have won.
But anyway, let's ask Em this. Let's flip the position. You are now 4 or 5 years into Tua, like they are into Watson, basically. Okay. You've got what you've got so far. Okay, but now we've let's just replace Devontae Parker became a top 5 receiver. He's your DeAndre Hopkins. We traded away Devontae Parker. We got what they got back for him. Okay, basically, or something equal. All right. We didn't draft our offensive line good enough to the point where not only did we have to give up 2 of our own draft picks to a team to acquire one, we also had to give up $24 million of our $200 cap because we couldn't get him on a rookie-friendly deal or anything of that sort. So we can all pretty much agree the talent level they have right now is not what it was last year, offensively at least. Offensively, at least. That's it. Okay. We can all pretty much agree they're probably not going to win a Super Bowl with what they have right now. All right? If the roles were reversed, would you be fully happy, flip Deshaun Watson and Tua? Would you be fully happy with what Brian Flores, who in this situation is your head coach and your GM, has so far gotten out of Tua Tagovailoa if he's in Watson's spot?
Well,
are you satisfied?
No. Well, let me clarify. I'm not saying that Bill O'Brien doesn't deserve criticism. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is when you're talking about when you're evaluating a coach, they have to be able to, number one, identify talent and develop that talent. Okay. He has to be able to get to get the production, the overall team success on the field. That's two big responsibilities that a coach must have. And Bill O'Brien has consistently checked both boxes. I don't understand why y'all so quick to minimize what this man has achieved since he's been in the Houston Texans, since he's been in Houston. Y'all are saying, well, hang on. Y'all are the same ones that will make y'all are saying, oh, well, he just get to the playoffs and get bounced out the first round. But y'all be the same ones, if he didn't get to the playoffs, you'll be criticizing for that. But just give the man credit for what he's achieved. I'm not saying the man is the best coach in the NFL. Nobody's saying that at all. I'm saying, hang on.
Because they've peaked their ceiling. They're not going to move past that first. And with you actually sit through and we listed out all the talent that they've accumulated to just get first round appearances, get knocked out in the second round. And that's probably the ceiling.
You have to let it play out. You don't know if they've peaked yet. We gotta let we have to see. We have to let it play out on the field.
Ian,
that's what we have to do. You don't know they peaked yet.
Can I say something, Ian?
I will say this. I will make you a bet of any money that they will never see the Super Bowl in the Deshaun Watson, Bill O'Brien era.
You know something? I'm not going to.
I don't even think they'll sniff it. I don't even think they'll sniff it, bro. I would even probably make the bet about an AFC championship.
Ian Reason, unfortunately, we are looking from the perspective of a coaching perspective. Unfortunately, Bill O'Brien is a coach and a general manager. So you have to throw the two prongs into that judgment. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is that because Bill O'Brien is the worst GM in the history of the last 2, 3, 5, 6 years. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
I don't say that.
Bro, how can you say that?
Learn me Thompson trade.
The roster that this dude has assembled, are you serious?
Yeah.
Bro, come on, man.
Listen.
How hard was it to draft Deshaun Watson? How hard was it to draft DeAndre Hopkins? We could have did that.
I will say this, Damian. It was so hard. It was so hard that the Bears.
Oh yeah,
so hard that the Bears drafted.
Listen, Ian. The only thing he did was the only thing he did was Laremy Tunsil trade. That's it.
Bro.
He crushed the Hopkins trade. The Hopkins trades kill everything he did previously. Let's get out of the way. At the point when he traded Hopkins was the best wide receiver on earth.
Let me ask you this. Hang on. They traded him away.
Who was better than Hopkins when he traded him?
Hang on.
AB, when AB was sane.
Man, get out of here, man.
When AB was sane.
What are you gonna say? What are you gonna say? And I hope this doesn't come to fruition. But I'm just saying, they traded away DeAndre Hopkins, right? What if that team They trade a talent like that away. What if this team has they have the same overall team success this year? What are you going to say? What do you say to that?
It's not my problem with.
If they get back to the playoff this year, what are you going to say then?
Their division
What will be your
trash.
response then?
Yeah.
It is. It was AFC East. It was AFC
it.
East Patriots type
Stop it.
trash. That's why they were winning
Stop
the division. Which is
Y'all-
Jacksonville,
y'all-
Tennessee, Indianapolis. It was trash after luck, and that was it.
Come on, Em. Em. Let's be real.
Y'all are going to keep moving that needle, and y'all going to keep coming up with excuses to minimize what this man has achieved since he's been in Houston.
Listen,
That's what you're gonna do,
Em.
because you don't like him.
It's not. I just say I don't like him.
You know what we're running into right now? People have different definitions of success, and what I mean by that is, I see where you're getting at, where he's getting playoff bursts, so that could be deemed as successful. But I think what people are saying is, how many first round or second round exits is it going to be until, we got?
And I get it.
And I'll even say that Rex Ryan helped accumulate a lot of talent. Besides Mark Sanchez, right? And he was getting AFC Championship berths, and he had it more difficult because he couldn't basically beat the Patriots in their prime. And he only had a certain shelf life too, where they said, "Hey, you basically peaked. You got us as far as you can get us. Good day, thank you very much." Like, here's the thing: what's going to hurt Bill O'Brien? Because obviously at the end of the day, a lot of us are just theorizing. If Watson actually doesn't want to talk an extension, that might make upper management say, "Okay, Bill, nice knowing you. We've enjoyed the playoff.
Sayonara."
Exactly.
But look. Also, okay. Number one, Rex Ryan. His biggest mistake, which a lot of coaches fail to do. He didn't find his quarterback. He didn't. He thought he did.
He thought he did.
I mean, Sanchez was serviceable, dude. He was pretty serviceable.
He was garbage.
Sanchez.
Sanchez was garbage. Sanchez was
the AFC
garbage.
title game.
He would have been better off. He would have been better off with Pennington. He would have actually been better off with Pennington.
And also, y'all are forgetting, okay? The Texans were up 24 points on the defending world champions.
And coaching and game planning.
And they blew it.
And Ian, what happened? What happened?
Doesn't help your argument, bro. It does not help the argument, bro. Blowing a
Listen, bro. We all know how that game unfolded, but they were 60 minutes away from beating the defending world champion.
I'm sorry, Em. I don't give trophies. Hey, Em, I don't give trophies out for being 24 points up. I'm sorry. I don't give trophies out for being 24 points up.
I mean, Kyle Shanahan would have a couple of them.
You don't see them moving off of Kyle Shanahan. He's
okay. He's been to a Super Bowl as a coordinator, and Matt Ryan only MVP season under him that year as well.
And he gave away 2 Super Bowls too.
But he got there. He got there.
Yeah, you're right. I give you that.
And I will say, Matt Ryan reached his ceiling under Kyle Shanahan on MVP season, and he hasn't relived that since Kyle Shanahan left as well. And to be honest, he got the most you're probably going to get out of Jimmy G as well. I don't think he has much more higher ceiling.
Probably.
You know what O'Brien reminds me of? You know what O'Brien reminds me of? This scenario reminds me of. Do y'all follow NBA at all?
I do. Knicks fan,
what
baby.
Bill O'Brien reminds me of, and this if they have a competent head coach to take his place, it's Golden State all over again with Mark Jackson, Steve Kerr. He acquired the talent. They couldn't get past that peak of the first round, and then when a competent basketball mind came, now I'm not going to say competent, but who could get the most out of their players came, which was Steve Kerr. He took that same backcourt with Draymond,
brought it together.
Same players, brought it together, and they went on to be a dynasty. That's what I think would happen if you had.
Mark Jackson's situation was a little different, though. It was different. It was management in Mark Jackson. It wasn't.
And I'm a Knicks fan. No, I'm a Knicks fan. Love Mark Jackson.
Oh, baby.
Steve Kerr.
You got a now Knicks fan, baby. I like that.
Steve Kerr.
Look at this.
took
Look at
that
this,
team.
Damien. Look, read your screen. Look at Dallas, flooded with talent. They're no better than Houston. Jason
because of
Garrett
coaches.
couldn't get the most out of,
That's
he
right.
didn't acquire the talent, but at the end of the day, he couldn't get the most out of, and maybe,
Facts.
EM, he might be checking off those 2 boxes, but I think the third one is just as vital, which comes to you can acquire all the talent, but if you can't get their
The most out of it.
if you can't get to reach their ceiling, here's the thing. It's like, you're right. I agree with you. There's no denying consistent playoff bursts. There's no denying the talent he's acquired, but 2 things kind of stand out to us. A lot of us can probably agree that offense is either in a rebuilding or a reconfiguration mode.
Man, a rut.
Yeah, well, we haven't formed yet.
Man, a rut.
But now listen.
All it takes, I will say this: all it takes is a healthy season from Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller, because Will Fuller is an absolute monster when he's healthy.
Absolutely. And I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that. Listen, I'm not saying Brandon Cooks is in the same stratosphere as DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, my God.
But hang on, let me finish.
Oh, my
but
God,
listen, that dude has been a multiple 1,000-yard receiver in the league.
When he's on the field, EM,
Facts.
the dude is when he's on the field.
Last 2 years,
If he's healthy, and like Reason just said, Will Fuller as well. I'm telling you, man, y'all are sitting here. Y'all want to, you want to say that offense is going to took 3 steps back.
I hope you're wrong, man.
I ain't gonna say 3, but at least 2.
Hang on. You have 2 vertical threats. You have 2 viable. You have 2 vertical threats on the boundary of your offense. 2 of them. And then
1.5.
1.5.
You know what I will say though, EM? The one thing I will say though, bro, is with DeAndre, not only I don't think they have anyone that even has half the catch radius of him.
I agree.
And I think the other thing too is you also lose because Brandon Cooks, I mean, he's more explosive with his burst, whereas DeAndre was more explosive, whereas he can get up and get those high point balls.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But I will say this about DeAndre. One thing, as good as he is, he's an average at best vertical threat. He doesn't threaten teams down the field.
He times
his catch rate.
And what do I always say in the playoffs? When you just like the comparison we talked, like on the stream the other day, we talked about the Tennessee Titans as a prime example as to why they took a significant leap when Ryan Tannehill, when they inserted him into the starting lineup. They had threats in terms of receivers, but they didn't have a quarterback that could consistently threaten teams downfield. Okay. So when the playoffs comes, once the playoffs start and defensive coordinator starts to take things away from you and the field is more confined and teams take away that intermediate area of the field, okay, what else do you have? And I think that's the problem that the Houston Texans ran into with, and it's no knock on DeAndre Hopkins, no knock on him, but with Will Fuller being consistently in the tub, okay, and DeAndre Hopkins is your only viable option on the boundary, okay, and he's not a vertical threat. I mean, teams just all teams do is they're taking away the intermediate part of the field where DeAndre Hopkins feasts. And if you take that element out of their offense with the lack of a consistent running game, what do you have? But again, a lot of that falls on Bill O'Brien for number one, not addressing the offensive line properly as he should. Okay. So again, what Brandon Cooks brings is that vertical element. And that is what puts the fear of God into defensive coordinators, from Louis Riddick to Mike Mayock to Daniel Jeremiah. They will all tell you that's the only thing that keeps defensive coordinators up at night is speed, period. And Brandon Cooks brings that to this offense.
EM, hold on. And that fear of God is only going to come 4 to 5 times this season.
That's it.
I will roll my dice on that.
Okay.
I will roll my dice on that. I ain't crapping out on that.
Listen, I'm not debating you on this kid's durability issues. I'm not debating you on that. You're spot on with that. But I'm just telling you, that's the problem I saw consistently in terms of the playoffs when it comes to the Houston Texans.
I agree with you.
Of a vertical threat.
I agree with you, EM. But unfortunately,
real quick. Who you rather have as a receiver then? Because you saying this vertical threat, that's what teams threat. If you were to play against DeAndre Hopkins or what's his name? Brandon Cooks, I'll be forgetting his name. If he ain't that good. Like, if you have to scheme against both of those two, who are you more worried about? A guy that can make plays all over the field or a guy that can literally just beat you going straight, just going vertical? Who are you more scared of?
Well, are you talking about the playoffs or are you talking about the regular season? That's two
The
different things.
playoffs slow down even more, so you have to be able to do even more. You can't just go deep.
You know what? Listen. I'm gonna say this. In terms of the postseason, why do you think the Kansas City Chiefs are so feared? Why do you think they're so feared? It's that speed element of Tyreek Hill that it put. That's what
Cole Hardman.
Listen, him as well.
They got all the weapons.
Him as well, and collectively they've got the most talent at the skill position. We can all agree on that. But But what sets them apart from everybody else is that speed element. They got two of the fastest guys. They got arguably one of the fastest tight ends in the league. Okay, they've got two of the fastest receivers in the league, and Sammy Watkins is considered, but he's a 4-4 guy.
Tyreek Hill is more diverse than Cooks. He can do more.
Oh yeah, listen.
Cooks is a one-trick pony.
Listen, I'm not saying he's a better player, bro.
Coverage.
Listen. I'm not saying he's a better player, bro. What I'm saying is he gives you that. He brings that verticality to your offense, bro. Is what I'm saying. And all I'm telling you is when a player, you look at the New Orleans. The reason I talked about this privately about the New Orleans Saints, why them as a team hasn't had more, considering the talent that they've had on that roster since Drew Brees and Sean Payton have been there. Why? It's in my opinion, it's because number one, Drew Brees. We all talked about it. We all know about his pop gun arm. He doesn't have the ability to consistently threaten teams down the field, and they don't even bother drafting or signing players.
Yeah, they traded away Brandon Cooks. They're the guys who originally traded Brandon Cooks away because they didn't need a vertical guy like that because Breeze isn't going to bomb it 40, 50 yards onto him on a go route. Yeah,
exactly my point. Exactly my point. My point.
Is Cooks a legit one?
I think at one point he was.
I think you had to question that.
He was in New England.
Is he a legit one? In New England.
I think. Well,
that system.
No, he's not. EM, stop it. Stop it, EM.
Are you gonna let me answer? Can I?
You're stuttering. That's why I don't let you answer. You're stuttering.
You all concerns about his durability are legit. That's why I said at one point he was. I don't know what they brought him in, worked him out, and they evaluated him. So obviously they felt comfortable with his status in terms of his ability at this point because they traded for him. Okay, so I haven't seen him though. I haven't seen him. So I have to see what he looks like post his durability issue.
Yeah, know what it's been? It's been that's why another reason why Cooper Kupp has really rise is because of the targets, because the last 2 years, Brandon Cooks, I will say this. When you look at New England, Brandon Cooks was a legit wide receiver one in New England. But when he went to the Rams, he was not a wide receiver one. Cooper Kupp was clearing away, but that was also the durability issues the last 2 years have been he's basically turned into what Will Fuller is right now. But Will
I don't know.
Been in for about
what he looks like.
Years. So
I don't know what he looks like, so I can see him. What fast receiver dominated in the playoffs? Because I don't remember a fast receiver besides Tyreek Hill dominating in the playoffs. I remember with Anquan Bolden, with
Randy Moss.
Randy Moss. You forget
Randy Moss.
I'm talking about win. You gotta win.
Terrell Owens.
Yeah, that
Stephon Diggs, that Minnesota Miracle game.
Dude, that Eagles run, they went to the Super Bowl with Owens on one leg, and he was getting like 100 yards.
That wasn't speed.
Stephon Diggs did that Minnesota Miracle game.
Santonio Holmes. Mike Wallace, when he was in Pittsburgh,
he
was successful. Okay.
Larry Fitzgerald, not that fast. Larry Fitzgerald dominated. I don't know. I don't know too many fast receivers that really dominate like that. It's not that many that dominate like that.
But you got to look at how talented that overall team was. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That Arizona had. I mean, that was a talented roster overall, bro. They had a Hall of Fame quarterback. You know what I mean? You had Anquan Bolden on the other side. You had Larry Fitzgerald. They had a very good offensive line, man. That was a very talented team. So I'm not saying that Brandon Cooks. Listen. I'm not saying Brandon Cooks is gonna take them to the promised land. I don't want y'all to misinterpret what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have to have complementary pieces. But what I'm saying is when it comes to the playoffs, what defensive coordinators generally fear is that speed guy. And I heard Louis Riddick, that's basically verbatim what came out of his mouth when they asked him about players. What defensive coordinators fear the most? Speed.
Why Ted Ginn never lived up to the 7th overall pick?
Because he can't catch.
He's just a speed guy.
But look, Cam Newton, he had his best year when Ted Ginn was his vertical threat in Carolina. They went to the Super Bowl.
He's been serviceable.
Well, and I will say
the
problem with Mike Wallace is he was about 3 or 4 years too early because it wasn't till about 3 or 4 years later that Tannehill started developing that vertical touch. And the reason why he started working on that vertical touch so much was because he couldn't hit Mike Wallace. So Mike Wallace, that's the thing that sucks about Mike Wallace is if we had him 3 or 4 years down the line and Tannehill got that touch together, he would have actually probably produced because he actually we actually go back. I know people aren't fans of that period, but he actually put up decent numbers when he was here, man.
2016, amazing year.
Yeah, man.
I'm a Mike Wallace fan.
Yeah. Still want to go to the playoffs. Don't want to hear it.
Money with him not to do the same stuff. That's what pissed me off.
Y'all need to stop hating on Bill O'Brien so much, man. Just take emotion out of it.
You know what, Ian? Listen. I can't wait till we get Texans #1 overall pick next year. I want to hear what the hell you're going to say next year. I really want to know what you're going to say next year when we get. Hey, the Miami Dolphins, by the way, Houston, Texas, are picking #1 overall. What are you going to say when we on the damn stream when me, Ian, Reason sipping on something on a damn Thursday night?
Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins.
You don't have to wait. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm praying that happens, bro. I am praying that happens.
Hey, you know what? Check it out, panel. I got a question for y'all.
Roundtable.
So now it's too early, but it's roundtable. It's roundtable. It's 2:00 in the morning. Say Texans go maybe top 3, top 2 pick next year. They that horrible. They ain't got nobody to pass to.
Don't do it, D82. Don't do it.
I'm about to do it, man. I have to do it because I know Reason is itching to answer this. Who the fuck are we picking next year with a top 3 pick?
Well, from Oregon.
Yeah.
Who are we picking next year with a top 3 pick? No, seriously. No. Put y'all thinking caps on. I want y'all dudes put y'all caps on. Who the hell we picking next year with a top 3 pick?
It's too early. It's too early. It's too early for me. It's too early. It's too early for me. It's too early for me.
I'm thinking wide receiver.
It could be too early for you all you want. So if I have because here's the difference. If I have the #2 pick, I'm taking Penei Sewell because Trevor Lawrence is probably going #1. Taking Penei Sewell, left tackle, Oregon. Like I've said many times, I've been talking about this I've been talking about this kid for over 6 months, man. So Penei Sewell, I think he's the best player, let alone tackle, best football player I've seen come out in at least the last 10 years.
What do you do with Jackson at that point?
What do you mean? I'm kicking Penei. 2 is my future. I'm kicking Penei to the right. This is what I've always said. Because Austin Jackson.
Can he play the right though? Reason, can he play the right?
It's basically fundamentally the same thing.
Yeah, it is.
And it's going to be even more fundamentally the same thing because that'll be the blind side, and he just finished protecting Herbert's blind side. So it's just blind side protect. It's going to be fundamentally the same thing. And when you look at how talented this kid is, you're not going to have like look at Jedrick Wills. Why are they moving him from right to left when every snap that he took in his career was at right? Well, fundamentally, it's the same thing. The problem, and the reason why is because he was Tua's blind side protector at right. Now he's going to be Baker's blind side protector at left, and it comes down to it's fundamentally the same thing, but also you got to be also athletic enough, and the two of them are athletic enough. Anyways, Penei Sewell to me, hands down. I've been watching this kid since he's a freshman, but after Trevor Lawrence, if he's gone, because I think Penei will go number 2 unless it's a quarterback needy team, then it could be
whoa, Reason. You just throw a wrench in that. You said after Trevor Lawrence, if he's gone, do you have a choice of picking Trevor Lawrence? Hold on, whoa. Are you thinking about picking Trevor Lawrence?
No. What I'm saying is after Trevor Lawrence, if Penei Sewell is gone and now I'm at 3rd because he's going to be gone by 2nd, Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1. Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1. It doesn't matter whether he's the best player or not. He's the best quarterback in his class. He'll go number 1. Then it'll be Trey Lance. Then it'll be Justin Fields. Okay? So what I'm saying is if now you're at number 3 because you said top 3 pick.
Yeah, top 3.
At number 3, one's going to be Trevor. Number 2, if it's not a quarterback needed team, they're not going to move out. They're going to take Penei. So now I'm sitting at number 3, and I'm taking another guy I've been talking about for about 6 or 7 months that I even got ball game onto the film of, Micah Parsons from Penn State.
I agree with you with that. Because I don't think we're going to sign McMillan. I don't think if we sign him, if we draft him, McMillan's gone.
Yeah, and he can move to the outside or the inside. You can shift him around. Anyways, now if I'm outside the top 5, because they'll go both in the top 5, my decision would come down to either if I'm in the top 5, so if I'm between 5 and 10, my decision is going to be between Jalen Waddle, Rashad Bateman. I think Rashad Bateman reminds me of Odell Beckham Jr. So I'm going Jalen Waddle, Rashad Bateman, or my favorite safety in this class, Javon Holland, also from Oregon. So he can play. He can play free safety, but he can also play the slot as well. Like they've moved him all around. He's basically like a Jamal Adams.
Reasons.
The line of scrimmage, you can play him in the box, or you can play him at single high.
So I have a question. So normally history repeats itself all the time when it comes to draft, and history states that normally the top linebackers, middle linebackers, usually are picked between, because we said it out on your stream the other day, between 7 and 10. Now, you pick Parsons in the top 3. Is Parsons worth the top 3? Will you not wait till he?
Because Parsons not just a middle, bro. He can play.
I know he's versatile.
Yeah, but I'm saying in a 3-4 defense, he can play that stand-up outside linebacker role as well if you want him to. That's
okay. So you're worth Parsons is top 3.
Yeah, because Parsons is a way better Van Noy.
Let me ask you this reason. What if you see if we hit on edge players, if Anba turns out to be that gem that we both think he can be based off his physical traits, and we have a player on the interior that improves significantly, like a Andrew Van Ginkel or a Vince Beagle, they just they just improve that much. Do you still make a move for Micah Parsons?
Yeah, because the problem for me is Ogba's only on a 2-year contract, and I said this before, and I've said this to you privately, and I've said it publicly on stream. I think Ogba's going to be one of the more successful guys in the scheme. I know we talk about they don't prioritize getting to the pass rusher, they don't prioritize sacks, but I think if anyone's going to accumulate it, to me, Ogba just stands out. You talked about it, EM. Not only is he a great football player, he's also a very great athlete. He's one of the few guys that can combine speed and power, and he displayed to you. I know you've watched. He can take on multiple responsibilities in terms of what we're going to ask him to do. So, and the problem with me, and I've said this too, is Ogba's 2-year contract. I think he's going to try and cash in on us at the end of the 2 years. And my thing is, might as well get Micah Parsons ready to roll to either take that stand-up outside edge. You could even try shifting him. He's a big boy. You could shift him into D end if you want, but I don't think so. Or,
okay.
Again, guys where if something happens in the middle, like what if, you would talk about a Van Ginkel or a Beagle, right? What if the other middle spot, either Raekwon walks, so we don't even have that third down, that third down run stopper. But then what if Van Noy starts getting a little long in the tooth? You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like the thing with Parsons to me, I think he's a transcendent linebacker. But the other thing is, I think he's also a versatile player. And I can't go against what me and EM always preach, which is versatility seems to be very, very, very highly regarded and a very highly acquirable asset for this coaching staff. So
I look at him. I look at him being, he again. You talked about his versatility, but he's got significant snaps on the interior as well on that defense, bro.
He do.
They move him all up and down, all around, and
he's like Isaiah Simmons, but much better and much smarter.
And he doesn't play in the secondary. That's it.
Right. Yeah. He's a natural interior. He's a natural linebacker.
You know who I don't want in this draft that everyone's already overhyping? Stay away from. They're already making the Draft Network made like an image. Stay away from me, Gregory Rousseau in the top 10 from Miami. You know what? This guy is the epitome of. This guy is like he is so raw. This guy's
top 5 in a couple.
But this guy is too. I don't know. Like people I trust, like Dante. Me and him have talked about it privately. Dante Colonelli. Bro, this guy's one of the best young up-and-coming scouts in our community in the game right now. He's seeing the exact same thing I am. This guy's like 2 or 3 years away from what everyone's hyping him up that he is. He is not Bosa. He is not young. He is not any of these transcendent edges that have come out. He's not Myles Garrett. Like he's not, let alone on the same planet. He's not in the same stratosphere as those guys.
So he a next Deion Jordan.
Yo, bro, that's what he.
Basically, that's what you're telling me.
That's what I am so worried that's exactly. Draft Network, they like made an image of him like with Jerome Baker and someone else, and I was like, yo, y'all watch the tape on Greg. I don't know what the agent is paying some of these scouts, but Gregory Rousseau is way too raw for me to even consider in the top 10. Like Javon Holland, defensive player, even Caden Stern, safety from Texas. Give me those guys all day over again. Yo, even give me. You want to talk about a transcendent lineman? Marvin Wilson from FSU. You want some fun tape? Go watch Marvin Wilson from FSU. He's going to be coming out next year. That guy's a fun player to watch, man. That's a transcendent lineman, not Gregory Rousseau, man. I don't know what.
Speaking of Deion Jordan, he just signed with the 49ers.
I know. Yeah. He a bum. Still going to be out of contract next year. Whatever.
I got a question.
So my question is, Parson, you say you got top 3 pick.
Yeah.
What if Waddle's available when Parson is available? What is your decision, EM? Hold on. What if Waddle's available, Parson available at the same time, EM and Reason, and we do not have a slot wide receiver this year that showed out to be the starting slot wide receiver next year?
I'm always lean towards the defensive side of the football, bro.
Yeah, well, and the other thing too is this wide receiver draft is deeper than last year's.
Exactly. So,
and Jalen Waddle, I think Rashad Bateman his draft stock might get hurt a little bit because he was at Minnesota. Now, if people go back to the last draft, what was the one guy I kept wanting in the later rounds? I kept wanting Tyler Johnson from Minnesota. I watched a lot of Minnesota film last year. I got Tanner Morgan on my top 10. Like, I got a whole bunch of things coming out for college. And Rashad Bateman, honestly, man, if it wasn't for Jalen Waddle's connection to Tua, man, and here's the other thing. You could go get Parsons, and with that other pick, if you want to go quarterback, if you want to go wide receiver and Waddle's gone and Bateman's gone, you could probably get Devontae Smith. And if you could make the argument that Devontae Smith, out of any Alabama wide receiver, had the best chemistry with Tua, because dating back to Tua's big throw against Georgia in the national championship as a freshman, Devontae Smith was also a freshman, and Devontae Smith was the one who caught that streak route to win the championship. And that's been consistent. Go to LSU. When he was on that comeback to LSU and he threw that go route up along the sideline that burned the best corner in the college at the college level, Derek Stingley, who'd he throw the ball to? Devontae Smith. You know what I mean? Show that even when he
open season off the next season off against Georgia, start throwing, I think, doing the same damn thing, throwing it off deep to Devontae Smith. But you really think he's better than Jamar Chase? Y'all really think any of those receivers is better than Jamar Chase from LSU?
I'm really interested to see Jamar. Here's the thing. I've talked about this before with Joe Burrow, with the thing that's deceptive with that. Okay, you know, everyone talks about, oh, they used to have the New Orleans offensive coordinator,
Joe Brady,
right? But no one talks about why that was important, okay? Why that was important was because he came from an offense, New Orleans Saints. Again, we go back to Drew Brees. Drew Brees has a pop gun arm, right? Go watch a lot of Michael Thomas highlights. He makes a lot of catches in open space. Why? Joe Brady is a former wide receiver. That offense is predicated off its number one predication in that offense is manufacture space for wide receivers. That is what happened at LSU. That is why Joe Burrow was successful, because that they were throwing concepts to manufacture space that people had to. You got to remember, out of the 11, probably 6, 7, 8 of those guys are never going to see an NFL field. So not only are you throwing, some coordinators looks they've never seen. You're throwing players themselves looks that they've never seen, things that they've got to put up with, over running route concepts that they've never seen, that they never even had to cover. Plus, that whole offense as Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, it was, you could make the argument that it was just as, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You could make the same argument that it was more stacked than the Alabama offense as a whole. Because
they had the best wide receiver. Jamar Chase, to me, is just the best wide receiver. He's, to me, the superstar player in next year's draft.
You know what else he had? And again, another thing a lot of people don't talk about with Joe Burrow. Are you out?
Yeah, bro. 4:30 is calling me, homie. You already know.
We're gonna end this soon. All right, buddy.
All right.
Another thing people don't talk about with Joe Burrow, and I've gone over this multiple times. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson also had the benefit of a quarterback where look in to Joe Burrow and his college courses. Joe Burrow was doing online correspondence. Joe Burrow was spending 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, in the film room from morning to afternoon, and then he was doing his online courses back at his dorm room in the evening. No other quarterback, Jordan Love, no other first-round quarterback or even top 5 quarterback had that privilege. And that really, really benefits for not only knowing your system, but knowing what you're going to see defensively. Because I've said this multiple times. Basically, a lot of, the most run defense in collegiate level is quarters. It's a lot of quarters packages. It's pretty easy. Like, you don't see exotic packages that you're going to see at the next level. And it's really easier to, you got to imagine, it's these teams at the NFL level, they can scheme for great defensive minds, great defensive coordinators, exotic looks that they see on film that they were showing other teams, that they were changing looks, what they were showing pre-snap. They were showing different looks post-snap. They can plan for that stuff. When you get to the collegiate level, you're actually film studying for more basic defenses.
What up, Tunsil?
Easier to get a grasp of what you're going to be facing. And that's why I think, like Jamar Chase benefited from that. Justin Jefferson benefited from that. So, yeah, man, I like Jamar Chase. I'm just not – I want to see what – like, here's the thing. I saw Mac Jones. He wasn't great, but Devontae, even Henry Ruggs, even Jerry Jeudy, and even Jalen Waddle, they were still producing. And Jalen Waddle was also buried behind targets. There is talk out of Alabama that Jalen Waddle might run a comparable 40 to Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, Henry Ruggs. I heard you. I said the same thing. He is bad, though. Yeah,
man, it's going to be interesting to see because it's going to be him and Devontae Smith this year, right? So
yeah.
Interesting to see. But, yeah, it's 2:20, bro. We've been going for 3 hours, 40 minutes. I'll go through each of you. Give me final thoughts. We'll start with Dolphin.
Hey, man. Hey, good stream tonight. Next week we put on the pads. We see what happens with the QBs, and I guess we can have a great stroll after that 3 weeks from now, man. Because what we talk about today is going to be different when we put on the pads, man.
For
Fins
sure.
up.
Daniel, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate being on the show. It's fun. To me, like same thing with Dolph Terminator. He just said. I apologize if I said it wrong, but exactly what you just said. We won't really know till we get the pass. And to be honest with you, all that we're looking for is who are they saying is the receiver that's going to step up. I hope Kurt Merritt is the receiver that actually step up. So, I mean, to be honest, or out there for either one of those two dudes.
Agreed.
I appreciate it.
What's good, Damien? What's on your mind?
Yo, one quick thing, because y'all got me thinking about the draft for next year. If we so happen to get the top 3 pick, imagine the leverage we'll have because teams are going to be vying for a quarterback. Teams like Detroit, Jacksonville, could be the Redskins, and the Giants. The leverage we could have, we could still probably get Parsons or Sewell and gain another first-round pick and probably additional the next year after that. So, I'm happy with our front office. I know they're going to make the right decision. I'm looking for a drastic improvement this year and for us probably vying for the division or at least that 7th spot in the playoffs, that extra spot. So I'm excited about it. And great show, too, Reason. Fans up.
All right, brother.
Holla at y'all.
So, yeah, appreciate you, Damien. Guys, basically, we'll be back Monday night. We're going to have Paul and Brian Cat on the Phinside. And then we're going to – appreciate you, Dolphin. And then we're going to have come back Monday night. We're going to be here 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. And then basically, guys, next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, we are going to have Dolphin Lady 99. Some of you guys on Instagram might know who she is. It's been awesome getting to know her. She's a great chick. It's going to be awesome having her on to talk some football. She knows her stuff. It's going to be phenomenal. And, she's also a Dolphin super fan, and that's going to be the whole thing. I said I told you guys, not only do we want to have on scouts, analysts, and, minds from the game, we also want to have on super fans. And her gimmick is Dolph Freaky. So we'll have her on. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of her favorite Dolphin moments, some of her favorite Dolphin players ever, some of her current Dolphin players, of course, what she thought about the Tua pick, her reaction, et cetera, et cetera. So you guys are going to want to tune into that one. She's a real cool girl. It's been nice getting to know her, and it's going to be a real pleasure for you guys to get to know her a little bit too, guys. So, yeah, man, we got a couple things on the way, and until Monday, guys, as always, y'all already know what it is. It's Fins Up all day, every day, guys.